Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show, coming to you from right here on my YouTube channel. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea. It is an awesome honor and privilege, as it is every day, to have you, my international friends, join us as we talk about our favorite things in the world, movies, movie news, a little bit of television, all sorts of good stuff. And joining me here today, not on a regular day, but it's great to have her here. Erin Cummings is here, ladies and gentlemen. Erin, how you doing?
I am so excited because it's finally award season. The Sag nominations came out this morning, which I know we're going to talk about. It is like football season for the film fans, and now we're just off and running. So lots of speculation, lots of exciting announcements, and lots of dress buying.
Lots of
dress buying.
I
John,
actually went out and bought some
gown?
suits. I bought some suits. First time in ages. I told the story yesterday. I am not again. Most of my clothes come in 6-packs. But I bought some suits for premiere season and maybe for an award show or two. I'm looking forward to it. Listen, guys, you might notice that Robert Meyer Burnett is not here. He actually last second he had to do the credits for his upcoming movie Tango Shalom. They had to rush those out last night, so he's not able to be here today. But do not worry, he will be back again tomorrow. Listen, I also want to let you guys know that
Friday.
if you follow me, no, he'll be back. Oh, you're right. Friday. He'll be back in on Friday. That's
Chris
right.
Carr and Erin for No Pants Thursdays.
That's right. No Pants Thursdays is tomorrow. Sorry about that. Friday he will be back. But I wanted to let you guys know that the first episode of the audio podcast of The Weekly Hero is being done today, but yesterday we put up a little preview episode as well. If you follow me on social media, particularly on Twitter or whatever, I did put up a link to where you can go see it. It takes a couple of days for it to propagate to all the various podcast services. So if you search on iTunes right now, you might not find it. Give it a couple of days, but you can go and find it on its core site. And I put up tweets to that. And again, the first episode of the full audio version with me and Robert Meyer Burnett will be out later today, so keep your eyes open for that. All right, before we get into all of our stuff, guys, there are a couple things we're going to talk about here off the top. And the first thing we're going to talk about off the top is this. Now, one of the upcoming big comic book movies of 2020 is, of course, the very popular Scarlett Johansson, an award-nominated Scarlett Johansson, but we'll talk about that in just a little bit, movie Black Widow. Now, Black Widow is a movie I've said for a long time I've had no interest in. I've had no interest ever since the first Avengers movie. No interest in Hawkeye or Black Widow. None. They're fabulous characters as supporting characters in the MCU, but I've never been interested in a solo story for either of them. And what are we getting right soon? A Hawkeye series on Disney Plus and a Black Widow movie. So there we go. But the trailer came out, and I actually really did enjoy the trailer. Well, now Kevin Feige is talking a little bit about this upcoming Black Widow movie. And we know exactly when the movie comes out, or exactly where the movie is placed. The movie takes place in between the events of Civil War and Infinity War. So that much we know. And Kevin Feige is now talking a little bit about it and saying that actually the events of this movie are going to alter our perception of things that happened in Infinity War and Endgame. Here's what Kevin Feige had to say. He said, but we had this thought of exploring a little bit of her past that we hadn't seen before and how that impacts the adventure she had in between Civil War and Infinity War. And in fact, there are things that she does in Infinity War and Endgame that you'll see in a new light once you see Black Widow. So Kevin Feige here is saying that our perception of the Black Widow character and the things she does and maybe the things she says in Infinity War and Endgame, it'll change the way we see those. Now, if you're like me, which is, let's jump to the most radical thought possible immediately, we're thinking, oh, Black Widow in Infinity War isn't actually Black Widow. She's an android. We're going to find out in Black Android. She body swaps with a droid of some sort, and she actually goes up to join, I don't know, the Skrulls in space, just like Nick Fury did at the end of Spider-Man. The real one's there. She's not actually dead. That was a robot. No. Erin, I see these words. I know there's going to be a lot of people that are thinking that we're going to speculate huge about what does this possibly mean. I think it probably means something very minor. Mm-hmm. I'm believing, like, there's this speech she gives in Endgame about how, you know, I was directionless and then I found this family, talking about the Avengers and stuff like that, and I found this job. I think Kevin Feige is just referring to, we're going to have more, now that we see her family in Black Widow, her saying, I found this family. I think he's meaning something small. Like, it's just, I found a new emotional home or something, and it'll give it a new little bit layer of depth, but I really don't think it's going to be something that fundamentally alters our understanding of those movies as some people are speculating. I mean, it could be something that big, but I have a feeling it's just something probably small. You hear these words from Kevin Feige. How drastic or not drastic do you think this change of perception is going to be?
Well, I hear what you're saying, but I also think that Kevin Feige is acutely aware of the fan base, and that if he throws out something like that and doesn't deliver on that promise, that people will have some, this massive alteration in their perception of these films, then he's going to get the backlash of that, of saying, "Hey, you promised us that we were going to have some." I don't think that it's going to be something so minor that it's a detail that's just fluff. I also don't think that it's going to be Invasion of the Body Snatchers and Black Widow isn't actually dead. I mean, possibly, but I think that that's a bit of a stretch, a little shark jumping right there. But I do think that he is giving us a nugget. And also, let's be honest, it's coming at the right time because, as you said, you didn't exactly have great anticipation for this. We've had people write in that are not exactly thrilled about the idea of watching it either, and thinking that this is going to be a film that is a standalone that they don't really need to watch, that it doesn't necessarily fit in. And what Kevin Feige is letting us in on is, hey, if you're part of this universe, if you're watching this universe, you need to watch this film because it's not standalone and it will offer information that'll inform the way that you watch, and maybe even make us want to go back and watch Infinity War and Endgame again to see those little things in the way that we didn't see them before.
So you're kind of suggesting that he's just playing the good marketing card right here, a little bit of.
It's definitely, he's doing a nice little marketing to drum up some speculation. And look at us right now. Of course, we're talking about it. People are going to start there. There's going to be all the different theories that people are going to start throwing out, and it's going to spiral on the internet, and that'll be exciting to watch and see how that gets unraveled. But also, I don't think that he's wrong. I think that there has to be something about this film that allows the audience to see the other films in a way that's a little bit different. Otherwise, it is just a standalone film. And why?
I see what you're saying. Well, guys, question is, what do you guys think about Kevin Feige's words? Do you think it's going to drastically change how we see Infinity War and Endgame? Do you think it's going to be a minor thing? Jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. Let's go on to one more thing off the top. But before we do, I almost forgot to mention this past Friday, Cookie. Cookie, this is a picture of me in my living room. Cookie was on Dynasty, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, yeah.
And you were great.
Thank you.
That was so cool. And you weren't kidding. You are right off the top.
Oh, yeah. Right in the right front and center.
Yeah, right front and center in there. But I had half the comments I got was, why do you have the subtitles on?
Yeah, I saw that people were really up in arms about the subtitles.
Why on earth do you have the subtitles on? Okay, this is absolute true story about why I had the subtitles on, okay? So the day before, I was watching the final episode of Flash on the CW app on my Roku. And it remembers what your settings are. And as I was watching the final episode of Flash before the Crisis stuff, I had one of the neighbors doing yard work. Sometimes you'll hear them doing landscaping work and you can actually hear it on the show. So they were doing some landscaping with some big power tools. So I was having a hard time hearing the TV, so I turned on the subtitles. So the next time I turned on Dynasty, the subtitles were just there. So that's a true story of that. Anyway.
Well, I a lot of that legal jargon, you really got to be able to read it and hear it at the same time to invest.
That's right. You got to know what's
Dynasty
going on.
is also that kind of highbrow show. That's Aaron Sorkin's style. You really got to keep up with it. There's a lot of subtext going on.
I liken it under Chernobyl. I feel like it's
I think that's a fair comparison.
Like
I think
Chernobyl.
that's fair. I have to say, okay, please, if anybody from the CW is watching this, I'm sorry, but I'd never seen Dynasty before. And so that episode was the first episode I'd ever seen. And Tom and I just watched it and we just had a ball. Some of it is so ridiculous and so fun. But again, it goes back to what I said when I came back. I said, I loved working on Dynasty. I had a great time. And he goes, this is a soap opera. I said, yeah, it is.
That's exactly what it is.
You got to know exactly what you're watching. And I really appreciate you watching. And to those of you out there who also watched and you appreciated it, this skanky bitch says, thank you so much for watching and for all of the love.
All right. With that down, let's now move on to the next off the top here that we're talking about. And as Erin mentioned, it's award season. And one of the major ones, one of the few ones outside of the Oscars that I actually pay very close attention to is the SAG Awards. That's the Screen Actors Guild. And they put out their announcement of their nominees this morning. The full list of the SAG nominees came out this morning. So let's start going. We're not going to pay much attention to the television ones. We'll touch on the television ones, but I'm mainly interested in the movie ones. And there's a few little surprises. There's one massive surprise. Massive surprise. All right, let's go through this here. So we're looking at the SAG Award nominations. And here we go. Start off, and this is where the big one starts coming in right away, guys. Outstanding performance by a male actor in a leading role. Christian Bale, Ford v. Ferrari. Little surprised that he got it. I mean, I have no problem with it. I thought he was great in it. Leonardo DiCaprio, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. He was fabulous in that movie. I'm not out of my mind in love with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I liked the movie, but I didn't love it. But
his performance was phenomenal.
Crazy good. Adam Driver in Marriage Story. No surprise, especially after watching it. Like, no surprise. Joaquin Phoenix for Joker. No surprise. This one, I'm shocked. Taron Egerton in Rocketman.
Yeah.
Now, I'll tell you why I'm shocked. I like Taron Egerton in Rocketman very much.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I thought he was very, very good in Rocketman. But it's not that Taron's name is there. It's whose name isn't there while Taron Egerton's is. And that is Robert De Niro in Irishman. And I'm not saying that I am personally aghast. No. But everything we have seen and heard as far as the buzz goes was not just that De Niro is one of the leading guys. He's kind of a de facto favorite going into Oscar season. Not the favorite to ultimately win, but one of the names in the conversation to not just be nominated, but to win.
Right.
And as we see in a second, everybody else in Irishman got nominated, and Robert De Niro did not. This to me is the huge surprise of all the nominations. Again, this is not meant as a put down on Taron Egerton at all.
No,
I thought
he did a wonderful performance.
Very
wonderful
good
performance
in Rocketman. Very good in Rocketman. Better than Robert De Niro in Irishman? That's his movie.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of stunned by this. So, and this is, by the way, this isn't some weird country club group. These are the actors. This is the Screen Actors Guild members who voted for this. So I don't know, Erin, as a SAG member yourself.
I take full responsibility for the slate.
Were you as shocked by this as me? Or
I was. I actually, I was awake at 5 o'clock this morning and I saw an alert on my phone. The SAG Award nominations are coming out in 1 hour. And I was like, oh my God. I set my alarm for 6 o'clock so I would make sure to wake up. And yeah, I was really surprised at that, especially given that we haven't heard a lot of Oscar buzz recently for Taron Egerton. Obviously, when Rocketman first came out, everybody, as soon as a movie comes out, people go, "Oh my gosh, they're going to be nominated for." We've heard that. We heard about Eddie Murphy for. Remind me, Eddie Murphy.
Dolomite?
Dolomite. My Name is Dolomite. There was buzz for him. Adam Sandler, there was buzz for him in Uncut Gems.
That's another surprise that he's not in there.
I agree.
Because he won the National Board of Review for Best Actor and didn't get nominated at the SAGs.
Yeah. And so I wonder if it is one of those situations like we talked about with the Mr. Rogers documentary where everybody assumes that it's going to be nominated and so nobody nominates it. I don't know. I wasn't on the nominating committee this year, so I had nothing to do with it. But it's a very obvious slight. But I think that if anything, I don't think that's an indication that he won't get closer to Oscar. I think it's an indication that people are going to be much more conscious to make sure that they are nominating him for an Oscar and not just assuming that, he'll win.
It's interesting because this was the funny thing. It reminds me of the situation back when Argo was out. And the Directors Guild of America, the DGA, awarded Ben Affleck Best Director of the Year. Who's on the director's branch of the Academy? Members of the DGA. So he wins the Directors Guild of America Best Director of the Year, but he doesn't get nominated for an Academy Award when his movie wins Best Picture. And that's the funny thing. It's like, who's in the actors branch of the Academy Award? SAG members. So I think you might be right. There could be a course correction, because like, whoa, wait a minute, we didn't actually nominate Robert De Niro,
Right.
And they might course correct. But anyway, I thought, but you brought up a couple of other really interesting ones. Eddie Murphy, which I think is considered an outside shot, but still, but Adam Sandler not getting in the front cut gems. Really interesting. And we could go on all day about this, but let's look at some of the other categories here. Outstanding performance by female in a leading role. Not a lot of big surprises here. Cynthia Erivo from Harriet. Scarlett Johansson from A Marriage Story. Absolutely well-deserved. Lupita Nyong'o for Us. Thank God, because I've been seeing some other award stuff and I'm not seeing Lupita Nyong'o's pop up. And I'm like, what are you smoking? Did you see Us? Anyway, Charlize Theron in Bombshell. Get ready to hear that word a lot.
Oh,
Bombshell.
yeah.
And Renee Zellweger in Judy. I think the de facto frontrunner right now is probably Renee Zellweger in there. Is there any names missing there that you're surprised are not there right now? No?
No.
No surprises?
Nothing's like popping in my head like, oh my God, I can't believe. I mean, I agree with you, Charlize Theron. I mean, already you can tell they're on the Oscar campaign. She's posting a lot on her social media, which is a little bit more, definitely more so than she was just even a few months ago. There's just a lot of stuff going on. We're seeing her a lot more, and you can see the campaign rolling out. So they're definitely going for an Oscar on that one. Interestingly enough, the number of nominations for Scarlett Johansson, leading actress, supporting actress, best ensemble. So
we got some more categories to get to here.
Oh, we're still talking about it.
Yeah,
Sorry.
we're still so that was best not a ton of surprises. This is one that is, to me, no surprises. Outstanding performance by a male actor in a supporting role: Jamie Foxx, Just Mercy; Tom Hanks in A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood; Al Pacino for The Irishman; Joe Pesci in The Irishman. So they get nominations, but Robert De Niro doesn't. And Brad Pitt for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Again, sorry, he was not a supporting actor in that movie.
No,
he was every bit of a lead as Leonardo, but still that's where they campaign him. So no surprises there really at all. Outstanding performance by female actor in a supporting role: Laura Dern, Marriage Story. No surprise there. Scarlett Johansson and Jojo Rabbit. That was a little bit of a surprise because people ask me, because it is my number one favorite movie of the year. And people said, do you think JoJo's going to get a nomination for this? And I said, probably not. I don't think Scarlett Johansson will. I just refer to her as JoJo. I don't think she will, but man, she was really good in it. So I'm surprised, but pleasantly surprised. More Bombshell. Nicole Kidman from Bombshell, Margot Robbie in Bombshell, and Jennifer Lopez from Hustlers.
Good for her.
Good for her. You know what? I really do like that movie. I thought that movie was quite good. All right, then we move on to an outstanding performance by a cast. This is the Ensemble Award. This kind of SAG's version of Best Picture. Bombshell, no surprise seeing as it got 3 acting nominations.
Right.
The Irishman, even without Robert De Niro being nominated for Jojo Rabbit, which I'm surprised by, but very pleasantly surprised by. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood surprises me.
That
and I'll get to that in a second.
as well.
And then Parasite, no
which
surprise.
You're very excited about because you loved it.
It's my second favorite film of the year. Here's why Once Upon a Time in Hollywood surprises me. And I actually did a video on this the other day saying, who do I think the front runners for Best Ensemble? And I said I don't think it'll be Once Upon a Time, because traditionally when you look at the SAGs, when they do their nominations for Best Ensemble, it's usually a film that is more than just one or two primary performers.
Right.
Because in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, it's those two and everybody else has very minor to almost invisible roles.
One scene here, one scene there.
Yeah. So I was kind of surprised by that. Were you?
I was very surprised by that. I don't consider that an ensemble film. As an actor, when I think of an ensemble film, I think of a film where you have, like you said, more than two characters who are consistently coming together, and you're seeing the dynamic of how multiple personalities work together to solve problems, to solve conflict. Yes, it's obviously all in the writing, but additionally, it's those conflicts and the chemistry between multiple people. Who's going to side with who's going to, just all those the nuances and the minutia between multiple people in a room adds a different flavor than just a two-hander. So I was a little surprised at that. I mean, if we're talking about the chemistry between Brad Pitt and Leonardo DiCaprio, yes, absolutely, I'll give them that. But I was a little surprised by this one.
I won't go through a lot of the television stuff here, but we will just touch on this one here, which is sticking to ensemble, outstanding performance by an ensemble in a drama series, which is their version of best drama. Big Little Lies, The Crown, Game of Thrones, Handmaid's Tale, Stranger Things. I'm surprised Stranger Things got in there, to be honest with you. Yeah, I like Stranger Things very much. I like it very, very much. But I gotta say, I honestly thought the morning show would get a best ensemble nod in there. I think this is Big Little Lies award to lose. I mean, that's a large group of performers. All of them, most of them get equal billing time. Most of them get equal screen time, and they're all absolutely fabulous.
And they're all big stars. And you see an actual friendship between these women. You see actually, and whether they are or they're not off screen, I have no idea. But you really do believe that these women would live in the same town, that they actually would go to lunch together, that they would have this relationship. Yeah. I'm not surprised by Stranger Things, though, because I gotta say the chemistry between those kids is incredible. I
love them.
Like I want to be one of those kids. I want that to be my childhood.
And I like season 3. Season 3 is my favorite season so far. I actually like the last.
And I see them getting closer and closer as the seasons go on. Yep. So you really believe that relationship as well.
All right. So the last one we'll talk about here is outstanding performance by an ensemble in a comedy series. And I'm tickled by this because, well, first of all, there's Barry, which I love. Fleabag. I think the two that are going to be hard to beat here are Fleabag and The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, which I love Mars. The Komsky Method, which is really big. I love that a CBC show, the Canadian Broadcast Corporation show, Schitt's Creek, has been nominated for Best Comedy Ensemble.
Shouldn't we be playing your national anthem right now?
I feel like we should be standing. It's great to see a CBC show.
And it is such a funny show. It is so. If you guys are not watching Schitt's Creek, it's definitely one and you don't even necessarily need to binge it, which you should. But even coming in and watching one episode, you'll get it. It's great comedy.
By the way, I don't know if we brought this up. There's another comedy. Oh damn! Now I forgot the name of it. It's on Hulu. And now I can't remember. A bunch of the viewers, it's this stupid Canadian show that a bunch of our viewers got me watching. And now I can't remember. Why am I freezing on the name of it?
Someone who's in it? What's it about?
Nope. You wouldn't recognize a single name of anybody who's in it. But a bunch of people started sending me, say, John, you've got to watch this. Okay. And then me and Robert started pulling up clips on YouTube. And I was falling out of my chair. Well, I'm sure some of you guys... there's a 30-second delay right now, but I'm sure some of you guys in the live chat will throw in what the name of that show is that I'm freezing on, because I need to know the name of that show, because I got to show it to Erin later, because oh my God, it's just so hilarious. There it is. Was it Letterkenny? Letterkenny is the name of it. And
Letterkenny,
it's
I don't know.
It's a Canadian show, but they show it on Hulu in Canada. I got to show you a couple of clips.
Great. I can't wait.
Oh my God. By the way, that's one of the things I love about doing this show is that people recommend things. I mean, that's how I discovered Letterkenny from you guys. Anyway, guys, main thing here is, what do you think about the SAG nominations? To me, again, the big surprise was, Adam Sandler not for Uncut Gems and stuff, but Robert De Niro not getting nominated when everybody else in the movie did. Anyway, what do you guys think about that? Jump down to the comment section below and let me know your thoughts. All right. With that down, let's move on to our main topics today. And how do we select our main topics here on the John Campea Show? Well, it's really rather simple. See, you guys come up with the topics by simply going anytime 24/7 over to www.thejohncampeashow.com/contact. Once you guys get there, you'll see a form, fill it out with your topic or question, hit submit, and then maybe, just maybe, you might see your topic or question featured here as a main topic on the John Campea Show. And by the way, guys, once we go into hour 2 of the show, we'll be taking your live questions, and you can send in those live questions now, either by using the link in the top line of the video description, that tip link. You can use that and send in a question, or you can use the super chat feature on YouTube, and we'll get around to your question in the second hour of the show. All right, that down. Let's move on to our first main topic today. And our first main topic today gets sent in to us by Benson Hayden, who writes, I'm a big fan of Dave Bautista, and since his rather public falling out with Disney over the James Gunn stuff, I've been wondering if we could see him pop up in the DC universe. Just wanted to know if you saw him post a picture of himself outside of Warner Brothers saying he's going after something. A lot of people are thinking he's in the running to play Bane in the new Batman movie. What do you guys think? All right, thanks for sending that in, man. And as a matter of fact, there have been rumors, unsubstantiated completely, going around that we could see Dave Bautista pop up in the DC cinematic universe. These rumors really began around the time that he was completely falling out with Disney over the way they were botching the whole James Gunn situation. At any rate, So that's when he started following them. So there's been a lot of rumors and rumblings and going around. Some people thought, he'd make a great Bane and all this kind of stuff. Well, it may be true, it may not be true. But Dave Bautista himself has just thrown a whole bucket of gasoline on this fire when he posted this picture on Twitter. And he just wrote him standing in front of the Warner Brothers logo at the Warner Brothers lot with that stupid nose ring that does not suit him. But he wrote in, "It won't come to you, so get after it." Which I do love that motto. It's very similar to the motto I have that just says, every single day, do something that gets you closer to your goals.
Oh, totally true.
It won't come to you, so go get after it standing in front of the Warner Brothers logo. Now, in our culture, much like the Kevin Feige thing, where we say, let's take what Kevin Feige said and imagine the most outlandishly huge thing that could mean, a lot of people, understandably, are grabbing onto this and jumping onto it and saying, Dave Bautista's going to be Bane in Batman. Now, you could see where that's coming from. Number one, there have been rumors about stuff like that, which are probably totally unsubstantiated. You do have him posting a picture in front of Warner Brothers, which is, of course, the studio of the DC Cinematic Universe. He is a big physical guy. So, I mean, if you're going to get somebody to play Bane and you don't want to put them in a Shazam stuffed suit, which I love Shazam, by the way, but then Dave Bautista is a guy you could go for. I mean, that's a name you could go for. So it all makes sense. That being said, it should also be pointed out here, Erin, that Warner Brothers, I don't know if you knew this. Not a lot of people do. Warner Brothers makes movies other than the DC movies. Did you know that? It's a little known fact.
Really?
Warner Brothers apparently...
I'm pretty sure that big old studio just has room for like that one universe.
One franchise. No, they actually make other movies.
And you know what they also... I heard a vicious rumor about? They make TV shows too.
I know, which is almost unbelievable. Write that off to unsubstantiated rumors. So listen, and Dave Bautista has been saying he wants to expand himself as an actor. He wants to grow as an actor. He's going after... I mean, look, it was a absolutely idiotic... I love Dave Bautista. You all know this. It was an absolutely idiotic thing that he wrote out to the guys at Fast and Furious going, I want to appear in good movies. Thank you very much. Really? Because didn't you just do Stuber? Which I'm pretty sure I had a better experience pulling a river leech off of my asshole than watching that movie. So really, you might want to pump the brakes, Dave, on talking about you just want to be in good movies.
Right. Let's not Katherine Heigl it up.
Yes. And again, but I love Dave. But there could be a lot of other things that he's involved in here. And let's be clear. Let's look again at this. There's nothing in this particular picture that suggests DC, that suggests any sort of involvement in a Batman movie, let alone a specific character like playing Bane. But at the same time, these are little twigs along the path that could lead to that assumption or could lead to that destination, I suppose. Erin, you see this post. You've heard the whispers. Do you think this is a situation where Dave Bautista could actually be popping up in the upcoming Matt Reeves Batman movie? Or, because we're hearing a lot of casting going on with that movie right now. Right. Or do you think this is probably just us just getting too excited and it's probably something else? How do you feel about it?
Well, what I think about it, which I love, is that the audience is steering the casting. People are coming out and saying, this is who we want to see as Bane. So regardless of whether or not he's even up for the role, which I would be surprised if he weren't, because as you said, his physicality lends itself so easily to that character. The fact that the audience is going out online and saying, this is who we want, we think he'd be a great Bane, let's push that narrative forward, regardless of what he was actually auditioning for. Obviously, like you said, it could have been a million things. Regardless of what Dave Bautista was actually auditioning for or taking a meeting for, the reality is that the fans clearly want him as Bane. And clearly there's interest in that. So even if he wasn't in the running for it, I think he definitely is in the conversation now.
So the question here that I have for you guys is, do you think this adds up to something? So we decided to make that the subject of today's question of the day. And the question of the day today is very simple. You can go over and answer it on my Twitter. I put this up just before the show started. About 700 of you guys have voted already. The question today is this. With Dave Bautista putting up that post, do you think that he's talking about appearing in the new Batman film in whatever role, Bane or otherwise? And right now, I honestly thought more people of you would say yes. I really thought more of you guys would say yes, but right now, yes is behind. Yes, It's Batman. Right now, only has 42% of you guys voting, and the other 58% of you are going, listen, Warner Brothers does a lot of movies, guys. It's probably something else. So I honestly thought it would be reversed. I thought more of you guys would say, no, it's Batman. So 42% of you right now is saying, nope, he's going to pop up in Batman. 58% of you are saying, nope, it's not Batman. It's going to be something else. I'm going to leave this up for the next 24 hours so you guys can jump over there and vote on that at your leisure, guys. So the question is for the rest of you, what do you think is going on here? Do you think Dave Bautista is talking about maybe joining a Batman film? Or do you think it's something else entirely? Or maybe it's nothing at all? Jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, with that down, let's move on to the second main topic today. And the second main topic today gets sent in to us by Thomas Patterson, who writes, I know that we saw the writing on the wall when Feige became chief creative officer of all things Marvel, but the Hollywood Reporter made it official. Marvel TV is ceasing all future production as it is enveloped under the Marvel Studios. My question is, with Marvel Studios now in complete control of all media output for the company, do you think we will see more crossover between films and TV? All right, thanks a lot for sending that in. And yeah, you're right. We have seen the writing on the wall for a while. We've known for a while because they announced a long time ago, Kevin Feige, they've expanded his role to not only head up Marvel movies, he's now heading up all television and print. He's the head guy now. So, I mean, that's an awful lot of responsibility. But so to nobody's surprise, they're announcing Marvel Television, the department, is shutting down. They're ceasing all development on projects they had upcoming, and things that are already in the pipeline and greenlit are just being transferred under the Marvel Studios banner. Here's what they wrote in Deadline about this. Marvel Television, as we've known it in the past decade, will be no more. With its slate dwindling over the past year and its head, Joseph Loeb, set to depart, that was also no big surprise once Kevin Feige took over. The television-focused Marvel division will be phased out. The Marvel TV projects that are currently in production will continue, but any further development is being scrapped. As a result, a significant portion of the unit's staff are being laid off, sources said, and that comes to us from Deadline. Now, you asked the question, do I think this means there could be more crossover? Well, there's a couple things to keep in mind. Number one, Disney Plus is a part of what they're considering television. I mean, all their Disney Plus stuff with Marvel is by nature crossover stuff. Mm-hmm. We got Falcon and Winter Soldier, we got WandaVision, we got Hawkeye. I mean, this is all stuff that's deeply interconnected with the MCU. Unlike, say, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which is theoretically connected to the MCU, but never has any impact on the MCU as a whole, be that as it may. So now they're killing a lot of other material. They've already said they're not going to take, The Runaways, which I really enjoy. They were already in production season 3. They already said season 3 is going to be the last season. They're not going to continue on with that. They do have a couple more things coming, but that's about it. I think by nature, we already see that the future under Kevin Feige is going to be a much more interconnected future, which, by the way, I think is a mistake. But let's see what Kevin Feige has in mind and what he's going to do with that. Erin, with this new paradigm shift going on over at Marvel, Kevin Feige taking over all the stuff, Marvel TV shutting down, it's all going to be under Marvel Studios. Do you see it indeed becoming more interconnected, or do you think it's going to be a little bit more sophisticated and they're going to have some distinction? How do you think they're going to carry on with that?
Well, I'm actually curious. I'd like for you to speak a little bit more about why you think it's a mistake for them to be more interconnected. I think that having a film and television world that flows back and forth and in between, especially because the delineation between the world of film and the world of television as it used to be, in which if you're a film actor, you definitely don't slum it in television. If you're a television actor, you're probably not going to get a big feature career. Those lines have really faded. So we do see a lot of people crossing back and forth. I love the idea that the film roles are what happens in the films is going to get to inform what's happening on the TV show and vice versa. I think it really just fills out the universe and makes me as a viewer want to watch all things part of the MCU versus, I'm only going to watch the movies, or I'm only going to watch what I see on Disney Plus. So I like the idea of integration. I see them going more in that direction, especially with Disney Plus and with Kevin Feige being in charge of the overall umbrella. Why do you think that's a bad idea?
I think this is an argument I've been having with people for a long time. I think the main leap's because it limits your creativity. Vastly. I think the main reason the CW Arrowverse has been able to thrive the way it has over the years is specifically because it is not shackled to what's going on the big screen in the DC Cinematic Universe. They're not being dictated. What they can and cannot do in their TV shows is not dictated by what happens to be going on in the DC Cinematic Universe. So they're totally free. The people running the television shows don't have to worry about what's going on in the movies. They're not limited in what creative directions they can go, and they can do whatever they want with some limitations that are implied. When you decide to go, and again, in Kevin Feige we trust, I'm just saying in basic principle, when you start going in a direction where now everything is connected, all the TV shows, and Disney Plus is a kind of its own thing in many ways because they're treating their Disney Plus shows like long movies anyway, but still. What you're now basically doing is you're putting handcuffs on your television creatives. Because you're going, okay, so we're going to do this just as a hyperbole here. So yeah, we can't wait. In this season, we're going to go to New York, and we're going to do this in New York, and then going, oh yeah, see about that?
Right.
Yeah,
well, we
Iron
can't
Man
because
5,
in this movie, we're planning on doing.
New York.
Yeah.
No, so you can't. Oh. Okay, well, that's okay. We'll just have our main character and War Machine go off to maybe San Diego. Oh, yeah, see about that?
San Diego's in the ocean now.
And War Machine, yeah, he's actually the new, I don't know, he's the new Spider-Man. Yeah, War Machine, Cody's now the, really? And I think the reason CW has thrived the way it has, with its ups and downs, has been specifically because they could be something totally different. Because the DC Cinematic Universe and their movies not only are telling different stories, they feel completely different and like they're in a completely different world than CW shows, which can be fluffy and a little bit nonsensical.
Well, they seem to be for
fun.
Very different audiences.
Exactly. And
I mean, my 8-year-old cousins watch shows on the CW, including Dynasty. Just kidding. So they watch things like Supergirl and The Flash, and they really enjoy it. But they're not excited about going out to the movies and seeing the DC films.
Right. And then the other fear I have is about it all being super connected. And I trust that Kevin Feige is smart enough not to do this. But the fear is, and we've heard some people writing in before and expressing this worry, is that, so like, let's say I don't want to watch the Hawkeye show. But if you don't watch the Hawkeye show, you're going to have no idea what's going on in the next MCU movie. It's like, are you creating that sort of an environment where everything's too interconnected? Again, I trust Kevin Feige is smart enough to make sure that doesn't happen. And again, in all things, I trust Kevin Feige until he does something that says we shouldn't trust him. I trust him. These are just the things I'm worried about. In principle, I just think the better philosophy is a separate television universe and movie universe. That's not to say it can't work, though.
But don't you think that the CW shows have thrived, the DC shows have thrived in a way that the Marvel shows have not?
Absolutely. And the Marvel shows have been connected to the MCU. Like you've had Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is supposed to be connected in with the MCU. But then again, you look at the Netflix shows, which
Jessica Jones and Luke Cage,
by every real standard, have not been connected to the MCU in any way. They thrived, right? They thrived and they were great. They didn't have to worry about like, oh, wait, we got to stop what Daredevil's doing. Why? Well, half humanity was just destroyed. Well, no, they just ignored all that stuff and just told their own stories regardless of what was going on in the MCU, and it thrived. But again, I want to make sure I'm very clear about this. Just because I think the one way is the better way to do it, that's not to say that this way can't work, especially under the leadership of a Kevin Feige. So I'm a little bit nervous, but I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt until we see otherwise. But I do think we are going to see a lot more crossover.
I think that people have this all or nothing idea that if they're interconnected, that means that if you're, like you said, if you're not watching, the Hawkeye show, that you're going to have no idea what's happening in the film. As we've seen in the films, you can watch Civil War, and yes, if you haven't seen all of the other MCU films, you're not going to understand everything, but it's still a very enjoyable movie. You're not going to sit there and go, I have no idea what's happening. You get it. They make these films so that people can ingest them as individual projects, but you're going to enjoy them that much more and have that much more understanding and depth if you've seen all of the other ones. So I don't think we're ever going to see a world in which you're not going to understand anything that's happening in a new movie because you didn't see this entire series. Just like I haven't read any of the comic books, but I'm still able to enjoy the films and the television shows.
And I hope they keep on with that philosophy. If they do, great. Because I know some people got very worried when they're saying, what happens in WandaVision, the Disney Plus show, directly impacts the upcoming Doctor Strange movie. It's like, wait a minute, so now you're saying I have to watch WandaVision if I'm going to get Doctor Strange?
But look at what's happening with Mandalorian. I made the mistake of watching the most recent episode of The Mandalorian with Tom, and I finally said, you got to just shut up, because he's explaining to me who, and he's like, oh my God, and then, Boba Fett is this one person, and he does this, and so-and-so is doing that.
I'm sorry. Can you say that name again?
Boba Fett?
B-O-B-A. Boba.
Oh.
Boba Fett. Guys, send in your caricatures of Boba Fett, please. This is Boba Fett's idiot cousin, Boba Fett. If you guys can send
I'm
that
Boba Fett.
Anyway.
Boba Fett comes from Huntsville, Texas. That's where I'm from. And that's why I don't know how to pronounce his damn name.
Boba Fett. Okay.
That is legitimately where I'm from. So sorry. But I'm just saying, I'm watching The Mandalorian. I'm trying to enjoy it. And then I've got Nerd Alert over here in my ear yapping about my husband, who I literally, every time he starts going off on his Star Wars blah, 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 I'm like, okay, Nerd Alert, I can't focus on. He goes, I'm trying to help you understand it. I said, I'm understanding it just fine until you start shouting out all these weird names. And, so he's like, oh, the cantina. I'm like, yeah, it's a bar. It's a big deal.
All right, guys. Question is, what do you feel about all that with the new the shutting down of Marvel TV, looping all into Marvel Studios? Jump down to the comment section below and let me know your thoughts. All right, let's move on now to main topic number 3. And our third main topic today gets sent in to us by Maxie S., who writes, the first set of award nominations are in, and the race for Best Picture Oscar seems to be shaping up pretty clearly. 5 movies have gotten an AFI Movie of the Year award, a spot on the National Board of Review Top 10 list, a Critics' Choice Best Picture Award nomination, and a Golden Globe Best Drama or Best Comedy Musical nomination. These 5 are 1917, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, JoJo Rabbit, The Irishman, and Marriage Stories. Those are locks for an Oscar nomination. Now, Knives Out and Joker have 3 out of the 4. Will they or won't they make the cut? All right, thanks for sending that in. And listen, the first off, Maxie, I've got to agree with you. 1917, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Jojo Rabbit, The Irishman, and Marriage Story. I think you're right. I think these are locks for 5 of the spots for the potential Best Picture race. I think them being on the tops of those lists all the way through, I think it really is an indication. Nothing's a guarantee, obviously, but if you're going to use the term lock applies to those just as well as any of them, absolutely. I also believe Joker is a lock for one of the spots. It's just got you when you win the Golden Lion at the festival, when you get all the buzz that it's been getting, when Joaquin Phoenix is going to be one of the nominees for Best Actor of the Year, when you've got the director being nominated for Best Director, it's hard not to be that. I also really got to believe, what was the last one there? Jojo Rabbit, Knives Out. I got to keep my fingers crossed that Knives Out is up there. It is my 3rd favorite film of the year, and I would love to see it. But I think you got to throw in another one, and that's Parasite. I think Parasite, with all of the buzz that it's getting, I just don't see how it doesn't get one of those spots. Now, here's the interesting thing, Erin. Right there, we're already at 8. Mm-hmm. If you count all the ones we just talked about, that's 8. And that could be the maximum that they do this year. Now, they can have up to a maximum of 10.
Oh, God.
But the way the voting procedure works, it could be as little as 7, but normally it's 8, sometimes 9. Mm-hmm. So that leaves a couple of films out in the cold. There's the Tom Hanks Mr. Rogers movie is out in the cold in that part. There's a couple of others. Do you think those ones that we just talked about are pretty much now we're starting to get a clear picture about what the race is actually going to be and who's in there? Or do you think there's 1 or 2 being left out in the cold? Right? Like Uncut Gems is another one that some people thought. A lot of people were thinking Dolomite Is My Name might actually sneak in there and get one of these nomination spots. Are there any that you're surprised that hasn't been more talked about in these conversations?
Well, with Dolomite Is My Name and Uncut Gems, the buzz that I have always heard is more about Eddie Murphy and Adam Sandler, not necessarily the films themselves. Now that we're looking at it, I'm actually surprised that Knives Out didn't get an ensemble nomination, because
I was shocked.
That
I was
is an ensemble.
shocked. Yes, it is.
Like,
I can't believe that didn't get an ensemble
that
nomination.
definitely should have gotten an ensemble way before Once Upon a Time. But yes, obviously Joker is going to be in there. And I think that there's going to be a dark horse. I think there's going to be an additional film that comes out that none of us saw, or none of us saw coming, being in the race. And I think we're in for a shock.
I mean, and there are
I don't know what it's
going to
be, but
there are a couple others. For Honey Boy is one that's getting a lot of conversation. Peanut Butter Falcon is one that's getting a lot of conversation as well. So there are a number of films that could be a dark horse, but again, we are starting to get a pretty clear picture about what the race will actually be. Question is, guys, do you think there's any films really missing from that discussion that should be involved in there? Are you surprised by any of there? Are you surprised by some of the names that aren't there? What do you guys think? Jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right. With that down, let's move on to our fourth main topic today. And our fourth main topic today gets sent in to us by Geeky Gator, who writes, "Hey, John and crew. When they announced the Home Alone reboot, I was very uninterested by it. However, they just cast the hilarious kid from JoJo Rabbit, Archie Yates, as the lead of the movie. This actually makes me want to see the film just because he is perfect for that role. What do you think of this casting and reboot overall?" All right, thanks a lot for sending that in, man. And yeah, man, there's some pretty interesting casting going on. Now, it is important to point out, and by the way, Geeky, I was completely with you, not interested in this reboot. Not interested in this reboot. But this kid, he doesn't have a ton of screen time in JoJo Rabbit, not a ton of screen time. But oh my God, he is adorable.
he's it's a bad time to be a Nazi.
Oh my, this kid is so great. Every moment he's on screen, first of all, I loved every minute of JoJo Rabbit, period. But man, I'm like, I could watch just JoJo and his best friend, this kid, hanging out all day for the whole movie. I could just watch them playing like Calvin and Hobbes. I could just watch them playing in imagination all day. I would be totally down for it. I'm going to admit something, though. I'm still not interested in this.
Me neither.
I'm still not interested. It's not that, don't get me wrong, it's not that, oh, how dare you remake Home Alone. No, it's not that. It's just, I don't see anything about it to be excited about per se. And by the way, I thought it was like going to be a direct remake, but it's not. Like, for instance, he's not going to be playing, what was the kid's name? Kevin McAllister. Mm-hmm. He's not playing Kevin McAllister. It's a different kid, they're saying, in a different in a similar circumstance.
Has to be. I was thinking about this last night, and I was like, what do you do? Because this is Home Alone. Hey, Mom, I'm at home. You left me. Oh my God, Kevin! Hold on, Kevin. I'm sending a lift right now. I'll meet you at the airport, and I'll have a banana split waiting for you at TGI Fridays by gate 35.
Done.
Done. The movie is over. The end. So, I mean, just that element right there, it'll be really, but if it's the idea that a kid is left by himself to his own devices and people break in, maybe he's a latchkey kid and he's got these people trying to break into his house and it's all the hijinks that ensue.
I want to be an 80-year-old Joe Pesci breaking into his house. I want that so bad. I want that so bad.
It is fun, the idea of like how this little kid comes up with all these booby traps and things like that. Clearly they're not going to have him literally being forgotten at his house because it's such an easy fix with cell phones these days. So if they say, I wish that they would just say this is a hijinks movie in the vein of Home Alone versus saying it's Home Alone, because it's too easy to make comparisons. Just say it's a movie like Home Alone and it's about this young precocious kid who comes up with a bunch of booby traps and blah blah blah, and we'll get it. We understand. Versus just making it, because it makes it too easy to compare.
And it'll probably be booby traps that are going to be very tied into Alexa home control and
right,
Google Home.
Very technologically advanced.
Google, turn on the washing machine, just as the bad guy's in the washing machine. Right. Oh no, what do I do? Again, I'm telling you guys right now, roll on that SAG nomination, get an 80-year-old Joe Pesci in this thing again. He's back to his life of crime. Question is, guys, what do you guys think about this casting? And does it make you more interested, or does it not move your needle at all? Jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right. With that down, let's move on to our fifth and final main topic today. And our fifth and final main topic gets sent in to us by Grant McCauley, who writes, "Greetings, the John Campea Show crew. At the recent Comic-Con in Brazil, Patty Jenkins revealed that probably more she, already has Wonder Woman 3 and an Amazonian spin-off movie mapped out and ready to go. How do you think these movies fit in with the current plans of the DCEU, and when do you think we can expect them? Thanks." All right. Thanks a lot for sending that in, man. And first of all, Patty Jenkins is a very interesting story in Hollywood because Patty Jenkins, number one, she directed Charlize Theron to her Academy Award win in Monster. And it wasn't just that. And the number one job of the director is to bring out the best performance out of the performer that you can. On top of that, the movie's magnificent, fantastic. And then she couldn't get another job for like a decade. Her work wins Academy Awards, couldn't get another job for a decade. Then she does Wonder Woman, and we're all like, Patty Jenkins is directing this. You watch what she does. And of course, she did a great job with that. Now we're really excited with what she's going to do with Wonder Woman 84. She is now saying at this Brazilian Comic-Con that she's got the next one. She's got Wonder Woman 3 already mapped out in her head, and she's got a spin-off Amazon, or I don't know if it's an Amazon or like Amazonians in general, or if it'll be specifically on Themyscira, but she's got an Amazon spin-off as well. When could we expect something like that? Not anytime soon. Because here's what Patty Jenkins said specifically at these things. She said, "We actually already know the whole story to Wonder Woman 3. And then some, because there is an Amazon spin-off movie as well. And so we already have it all mapped out. It's just a matter of, will we change our minds and when? I think what we don't want to do is to do them back to back. It's been great doing these two movies back to back, but I think it's important to give a little rest in between. And I like doing other things in between." Now, that was Patty Jenkins. Now, I personally love what she's saying here because to me, it's very reminiscent of what Chris Nolan did while he was doing the Batman films. To keep himself sharp, he did a Batman film, and then he went and did another film. Then he came back and did Dark Knight, and then he went off and did another film. And then he came back to do The Dark Knight Rises, and then he went on to do another film. And in doing that, he never got caught in any sort of a rut just doing Batman movies. And while Patty Jenkins says doing these two Wonder Woman movies back to back, well, they weren't really done back to back. I mean, they were years apart. She had a big break in between them, but she hasn't done anything else.
Back to back for her.
Yeah, back to back for her. So I love her philosophy right now saying, if I'm going to do another Wonder Woman movie, I need to go and do something else to keep my creative juices going before just jumping into another Wonder Woman movie. And by the way, she also threw in there, I got to see if I even want to do another Wonder Woman movie after we're done this whole thing and this movie comes out as well. So she also pointed out that, yeah, while I may have it mapped out in my head, it's not in stone. I could change my mind about what we want for Wonder Woman 3. The studio could change their mind. For all we know, Wonder Woman 2 flops. Maybe Wonder Woman 1984 flops. It's not going to flop, but maybe it does. And that changes perspective. Maybe it makes $3 billion at the box office, and that makes them want to change their direction. Who knows? So I would say right now, it's just nice to hear that she's thinking about the future of these movies. It's nice to hear that she's going to break up what she does and keep herself creatively fresh. But I wouldn't get too invested in them as fans yet because there's a lot that can happen between now and then. Erin, you hear the words from Patty Jenkins. How do you interpret them and how do you take them?
Well, first of all, I've actually been hanging upside down in gravity boots, hoping to grow 2 inches so that I can potentially be one of these Amazons. I'm 5'6", not too short, maybe. I'm thrilled about it. I think it's really Patty Jenkins' time.
Can I interrupt and ask you something?
Please.
And forgive me if this is inappropriate to ask. I think I recall, and I could be totally wrong about this, I think I recall that you were actually brought in to audition for Wonder Woman for the short-lived or pretty much non-existent television series.
Yes.
Were you not? You did.
I did.
Okay. That's it. That's interesting.
not Adriana Lima. That's the
No, but
Victoria's
it is
Secret.
it's and this she's in Agents of Shield. Pilecki? No, Adrian?
Yes.
Adrian Pilecki?
Yes,
Okay.
something like Adrian Pilecki. Yeah. Well, and you know what's crazy? Which just shows how fickle this business is I really do think the thing that killed it before it even got a chance to start crawling and walking was that horrible image of that Hollywood Boulevard costume shop Wonder Woman costume that they had her in. And she didn't even know that was a photo that was supposed to be released. It was literally just supposed to be like a test photo. And so she was kind of standing there, but not in her in the moment, which as an actor, I would be really upset if there was a photo that was just like a test shot and then that became the photo that was released as the first image. But do you remember the backlash over that costume?
Oh, yes. And the whole show, to be honest with you.
Right, but even before the show, I feel
yeah.
like people already were like, it kind of put a bad, like I feel like people weren't even interested in giving it a shot. But yeah, it is one of the many roles that I've auditioned for that I didn't get. And, you know, it's okay.
Anyway,
you get
so
some,
Patty
you don't get some.
Jenkins' words.
Yes. So Patty Jenkins, I think is phenomenal. I'm so happy that she is really paving the way for women to be seen as action directors. And I hope that more women are directing films, comic book films that are not just starring women. I love the idea of her taking a break, giving us a moment to breathe and to build up the anticipation for another Wonder Woman, and for her to, yes, go back to her roots, because let's also remember, it wasn't just that she directed Charlize Theron to win an Oscar. That role also completely changed Charlize Theron, the way that we perceive Charlize Theron as an actress overall, because remember, she was getting a lot of like the girlfriend roles, the wife roles, and you know, because she's tall and she's gorgeous, and who wouldn't want to cast her as the beautiful lady sidekick?
Yeah.
But she really said, no, I can do more than this. And she changed her status in Hollywood by, you know, doing this low budget independent film with a first time director. And Patty Jenkins really showed us what she's worth as a director. So I want to see her go back and do something that's more gritty, something that's not appropriate for 13-year-olds, and something that really shows us who Patty Jenkins is as a director outside of the confines of the DCU.
Yeah, getting back to those roots that she had in Monster and things like that.
Right.
I'd be fabulously interested in hearing that as well. So, guys, question is, what do you guys think about this? Are you thinking, no, man, just give us Wonder Woman 3 right now? Do you think this is a good move by her? Do you think maybe she's delaying it too much? How do you feel about it? Jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys, with all that stuff down and out of the way, we're going to move in now and start taking your live questions. But before we do, we're going to take, as we do every day, a quick, short 4-minute break to give us a chance to rest the vocal cords, stretch our legs, refill our drinks, all that sorts of good stuff. So if you guys will hang tight with us, don't go anywhere. We'll get right to your questions as soon as we come right back. And we are back. Thank you guys for your indulgence as we took a little bit of a break there. And now, without any further ado, let's dive right in and start taking the questions that you guys have been sending in all day, by the way. By the way, the other advantage of that tip link down below is that you don't have to wait for there to be a show to send in your questions. You can send them in anytime, 24/7. Then we will get around to your questions our very next show. So anyway, we're going to start things off here with Burke, who writes 1 of 2. Here is my proposal for the Deadpool 3 movie pitch. One of the strongest registered Marvel mutants has been usurped and banished from his kingdom and had his power stolen by his former disciple. Now he needs Deadpool's help. Santa Claus. The mutant is Santa Claus. Will Deadpool be able to help Santa reclaim the North Pole from the evil Jack Frost? This is sounding familiar. Will he get his powers back in time to save Christmas? Okay, so there you go. It's okay, so it's basically a Tim Allen's Santa Claus 3, but this is a golden Deadpool recipe. I'll tell you what, Burke. I'll tell you what. This would make for a great YouTube video.
Yeah.
A great digital a Saturday Night Live digital short with Ryan Reynolds doing the role of Deadpool. I'm totally in. I don't know if it's a direction that they'll go, but you know what? We've been talking a lot, Erin, about we still have no idea, even after Brazil's Comic-Con. Mm-hmm. We've gone through San Diego Comic-Con, D23, and now the Brazil Comic-Con, and we still have no idea what Marvel is doing with Deadpool. And my thought is there are 2 options here. Number 1, they're keeping it under wraps.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And number 2, which I think is more likely, I don't even think they've decided what they're doing with them. I don't think they've figured out how to manage this thing with R rating, but we can't have R rated in the MCU, but people want him in the MCU. Do we have him in a separate universe? Do we change him over to PG-13? I think they still haven't figured it out. If you had to guess, are they just keeping it under wraps? Or they literally haven't decided what to do.
No, I think they're keeping it under wraps.
You think they're keeping it under wraps at that point?
100%. I think that when the first film did so well, and then there was indications that the second film was going to do well, they were just plotting it out. Because I mean, they're looking at how can we make the best bang for our buck? How can we make the most money? And so they're already spitballing things. They're already starting to develop it, and they're just keeping it under wraps because they know that people love Deadpool.
Okay, but what do you think they're going to do? Are they going to keep him R-rated and outside of the Marvel Cinematic Universe?
Yes.
That's what you think they're going to go?
I really do, because it's
that's what I hope they do.
That's one of the things that makes Deadpool so exciting and so much fun, is that he can do the things that he wouldn't be able to do without an R rating. And that's why I like him.
I mean, and who would know what National Women's Day was if it wasn't for that scene in Deadpool? I mean, come on.
Right, yeah, no one would know what National Women's Day was.
But a lot more people, it raised awareness.
None of the fanboys would know what National Women's Day was.
Okay,
that's true.
Let's see. Next up here, who do we have? Next up is Ryan Lohner, who writes in, for full context, Kevin Conroy plays an old retired Bruce who still almost kills Supergirl before Batwoman gets a dirty cheap shot in. That's the only way she could win. If that's jobbing, then so is Arthur Dane's fight with Ned Stark. I did break down and I watched episode 2 of Crisis, and I do have to agree. They did not actually job Batman, because people warn me they job Batman just like they job Superman in that universe. And as it turns out, they didn't. It was a much older version of a physically broken down, twisted, alternate reality version of Bruce Wayne that Kane gets in a shot on and he goes down, but he was already on death's door, basically. So I gave them a pass on that, Ryan. You were right. I gave him a pass. That wasn't really them jobbing Batman, so I give him a pass on that. Jared Murray writes, thoughts on American Psycho? While it was very effed up, I thought it was a very intricate character study and societal analysis, and I really enjoyed it. I've talked many times about American Psycho. It was the movie, like when they announced this Christian Bale kid is going to be the new Batman, the only reason everybody didn't go, who? Was because of American Psycho. It was really his Huey Lewis in the news scene. It's just always, anyway, I love the movie. What about you, Erin?
Phenomenal. Jared Leto is wonderful in it. Like the supporting cast was so good. And yeah, I mean, I don't think there's ever been a question that American Psycho solidified its place in cinematic history as one of the really good films that you just have to know and have seen multiple times to really be a film fan.
And it made America aware of just how important which font you choose on your business card is so important.
Absolutely.
All right, next up here, we've got Anonymous who writes in, Tom Ellis lied. Of course, many of you guys have seen it last night. Lucifer is in Crisis Episode 3. Not a long appearance, though, and has a moment with Constantine. Now I'm waiting for Sam and Dean. Yep. I mean, we heard the reports. I said could be true, but let's not take it seriously till we know for sure. And then Tom Ellis came out and said, no, I was in town for something else. I am not in the CW crossover. Liar. Oh, he is the devil after all. I mean, so there you go. I'll be honest with you. While it's really cool to see him there, because I love Tom Ellis as Lucifer is my number one favorite character on television right now. I almost wish he wasn't there.
Why?
Because it was so short.
Oh, you felt like it was too much of a tease.
It's like, hi everybody, I'm Lucifer. All right then, bye. I mean, it was a funny little scene, and it's very cool. But whatever. But still,
you feel like if they're going to use him, then like use him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he doesn't have to be a prime character, but give him like more than a 2-minute, like one. I don't know. I kind of felt like it was a little bit of a missed thing, but still, it was very interesting, very cool to see him there. All right, let's see here. Oan Ho writes 1 of 5. I know you don't talk politics here. No, I don't. But trust me, this is relevant. I'm going to warn you right now. I do not like getting into anything politically here, but let's read the question. With the situation in China going on, some of China's big names like Donnie Yen and Liu Yifei are supporting the government, and Vietnam and China's governments always have a tense relationship. So now my people, Vietnamese, are boycotting their movies. As such, Mulan and Ip Man 4 are no longer in the listing of our theater chains. In fact, my friends on Facebook are writing posts saying, if you support these actors and their movies, then go ahead and unfriend me, and getting hundreds of likes. I know it's hard to separate art from politics, but is it necessary to be this extreme? We're no longer friends and family just because I want to watch an effing movie. Life's too short, and I just want to enjoy what I like while I still can. And keep in mind, this is coming from someone suffering from depression. Not that I think it's this only applied to depressed people, meaning I could go at any given time. Am I wrong to ignore other people's stand on politics and continue supporting their works? And most importantly, will those morons understand my stand or just call me a traitor who sold out to the other side? Seriously, politics ruins everything. All right. I am going to tell you right now, I am not going to go in depth into this because I do not enjoy talking politics on the show, because here we're all film fans. Whichever way we lean politically or anything like that, we are all film fans. The one thing I will say is this, is that while there are things that can happen, I mean, we all try to separate the art from the artist. There are things that can happen. For instance, there are some certain performers who have committed terrible acts. Not opinions, not thoughts, not words, but have committed terrible acts that make me go, okay, I don't know that I'd be comfortable watching their stuff anymore. That's me. I don't organize boycotts. I don't organize campaigns against them, but that's just me. When it comes to politics, and what is somebody else's opinion on something? My personal belief when it comes to movies and stuff like that is simply this. It is not my place to try to in any way punish somebody for having an opinion that is different than mine. Look, I'm not going to go into my own personal politics, but somebody who has very different political beliefs than I is the great Clint Eastwood. He has some very different political opinions than I do, and that's fine. Do I have me go, well, then screw that, I'm not watching Clint Eastwood movies? No, of course not. He has some opinions and thoughts that are different than mine, and that's okay. This is the movies, and I enjoy his movies. So me, I always try to keep politics separate from the movie experience, from the TV experience, all that kind of stuff. So that's just my take on that, Oan. I just don't think it's something worth doing, because I guarantee you this. If you look into the full cast and crew of everybody involved in every TV show, you're going to find a number of people who do or stand for things that you don't, and you're not going to be watching much. As the great Tony Campolo said, if you knew everything I ever did and said, you wouldn't listen to me. And if I knew everything you did and said, I wouldn't talk to you. And that's where we would be. We'd be in a world where nobody watches anything, because everything's got somebody who thinks something differently than us. But anyway, I don't know. That was an elongated answer to that. Erin, do you got any thoughts on that?
Well, I guess my first thing is, how would they know? I mean, if you go and see Mulan, if you don't post it all over your Facebook page, how are your friends even going to know what you're watching and what you're not watching? If they want to take a stand and say, I mean, I remember once upon a time, my uncle sent out an email to the entire family that said, if you vote for this person, you are no longer a member of my family. And you know what? I deleted the email and I voted for whoever I wanted to vote for. And I was just like, all right, crazy old man, just have your rant. So if your friends have this conviction that this is where they stand, if that's not where you stand and you don't want to get into it and you just want to watch your movies, you don't have to get involved in it. That's their thing, that they're choosing to take a stand and to boycott, and let them have their thing. If you don't want that to be your thing, it doesn't have to be.
All right. Well said. Okay, next up, we are talking to Willow, who writes, one thing that I appreciate about Batman v Superman is that they gave us a definitive winner. Yes, I loved that, by the way. In the fight, I do hope that Godzilla versus Kong doesn't cop out with the draw. See, because that's what normally happens, right? We get TV shows and movies where a hero's fighting a hero. It's always a draw. It's always a draw. And in Batman versus Superman, Zack Snyder took the gutsy stand of, nope, there's going to be a winner of this fight. And the winner was Batman. But it would have been fine, too, if the winner was Superman. It's just, but they had a definitive winner in the fight. And maybe the fight goes completely different if they have round two. But I like that they did that. And I completely agree with you, Willow. They got to make sure in this Kong versus Godzilla, we know they're going to team up at the end to fight a bigger, more dangerous monster threat, but give us a definitive winner in that fight. And I am Team Kong, by the way. I am Team Kong. Ben Rayner writes, John, you got to watch Crisis Part 3. There's something you'll love. Yeah, we already know that the Tom Ellis thing is Lucifer. I will probably go back and watch that little shot again. John S. writes, on Wonder Woman, how Trevor comes back. I heard a theory, Grace Randolph, that this is going to be a callback to 1978's Heaven Can Wait, where he uses the watch to get her to realize it's him in someone else's body, and only she knows that it's him. Of course, going back, we're talking about the Wonder Woman trailer that just dropped. And of course, Chris Pine's back, but Chris Pine died. Well, he's back. How is he back? Is it one of the Greek gods that bring him back? Is it all in her imagination? Is it some sort of science explanation that the explosion in the sky with the plane mixed with all the magic particles in the air, that it created a wormhole that shot him through time to 1984 where he ran into Diana again? Maybe. Is it something like this? Do you have a prevailing theory here, Erin, about how we're going to see Chris Pine again?
Well, is it actually the same character?
Yes, Steve Trevor being played by Chris Pine.
I don't know, because I like the whole thing. You know, have you seen those things where they take like the picture of Keanu Reeves and they'll show legitimately someone who was alive in like 1845 and it looks exactly like him? I kind of love the idea of there's this guy who looks exactly like Chris Pine and he happens to be alive in 1984 and Diana's like, oh my God, you're this dude. But that's clearly not the situation. So I don't know. Maybe he's a figment of her imagination. No,
it would. I don't know. Maybe it's like what's the movie again where the kid sees the rabbit? Where the guy
JoJo Rabbit?
No, sorry, the classic movie where he sees the giant. No, I'm thinking of Gyllenhaal's movie. But the old classic. Where is it? Goes to Washington? No, is it? Oh, why am I freezing on the name of that movie? Anyway,
I don't know.
We can't just waste time talking about it here. Sam O'Neill writes, "Hey, John and all. How do I get a question or statement posted up on Rob's show?" Oh, you'd have to ask Rob. I have no idea. I've been spamming it in the last few weeks and just love how much stuff I am learning. Probably the first step is not to spam it. If you've sent him a lot of the same thing a lot and he's not answering it, then that probably means it's not a question he's interested in answering. Again, I'm not Rob, so I can't speak for him, but that's my one guess there, though, Sam. All right, Suthius writes, or maybe ask him when he's on the show. Maybe ask him the question.
Well, I think that he probably thought
show.
that Rob was going to be on the show today.
Well, what I mean is the question you're trying to get him to answer, just send in that question when he is on the show instead of asking how to get a question on. So otherwise, I don't know. All right, Suthius writes, "Hey guys, thank you, Mr. Campea. I wholeheartedly agree with you regarding Batman in Crisis. It was not jobbing. I think people were just more upset with the way the iconic Kevin Conroy was handled by the hands of Kate Kane. I didn't mind it. Again, you know, it was a different version. It was what was it? Earth 99, I think it was. It was Earth 99's. That was more advanced. So he was an older Bruce Wayne than he would have been in Earth 1. He was physically decrepit at that point. So I just think because of the way they have constantly jobbed Superman, which still disgusts me and makes me sick to my stomach, I think we were all very sensitive about, oh God, if you're going to have a Batman character in there, you better not job Batman. And really, they didn't. So I was actually okay with it. So thanks for those thoughts, Suthius. All right, David Bovenseep writes, "Have you seen A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood?" I still haven't. Still haven't. I was just talking to Erin about this. Still haven't. Just watching it and I was underwhelmed. You're the first person to write that because everybody I'm hearing from loves it. I couldn't get past the fact that Tom Hanks was trying to do the facial expressions of Mr. Rogers, made him look kind of creepy uncle trying to lure you off with candy. Well, I can't speak to that, although SAG did just nominate Tom Hanks for Best Supporting Actor for that particular role. You haven't had a chance to see this movie yet either yourself, have you?
I haven't seen it, but and David, I'm not going to speak directly to you, but I am going to repeat something that I think maybe John, it was you that was saying. I don't remember who I was having this conversation with, but we were talking about the people who come back with this, oh, Mr. Rogers and it's creepy and the pedophile and uncle, and then I feel like that says more about the person who is perceiving this man in that way than it does about the man or even Tom Hanks' performance. I mean, Tom Hanks has proven time and time and time again, whether he's playing Forrest Gump or a single film performance in Castaway. I mean, this man really. For always looking like Tom Hanks, he can manipulate his face in a way that allows him to transcend multiple characters. So I haven't seen the film, but I'm not even going to go there. I feel like Mr. Rogers, we are in this time where it's so easy to paint a certain paint with a certain brush of, oh, this adult male has an interest in children, there must be something lascivious going on. And I don't think
that's what that's what
I know that's not what
suggesting.
he's saying.
I think he was
feel
saying that Tom trying to do his faces didn't work well, and it made him, instead of making him look like Mr. Rogers, it made him look like a creepy uncle who was trying to do that.
Right. Yeah.
That's what I was getting
You're
at.
absolutely right. And I'm going away from David's question and kind of into a different area. So, but I don't know. I haven't seen it, so I can't say that. I know that he does make that sort of squinty eye facial expression, but it's also like if that's the character study and if that was Mr. Rogers' actual facial expression, then that's what he's doing.
All right, we need to move on. Okay, we need to move on here. Darth Scorn writes, where are we at? There he is. Darth Scorn writes, "Have you seen Crisis? There was a certain cameo in part 3 that gave me what what is it that you desire?" Of course, that's Lucifer's big thing. Yes, I did. Look, I'll tell you right now, though, overall, I am not impressed with this Crisis crossover event so far. It really is turning out to be what I feared, which is, let's just throw everything in there and to hell with what makes sense. Even the way they handled the Oliver stuff this episode, I was like, well, then if doing that with Oliver near the end completely means all this stuff that they did was meaningless. The Tom Welling thing, I don't know, it's just... I'm not going to say it completely sucks, but I'm unimpressed with it so far. And I've loved, or at least really enjoyed, all the CW crossover events so far. But this is the one I'm still kind of underwhelmed by, even though it was great seeing Tom Ellis in there. Ever Nolasco writes, my boy JC, we lit it up in here. I don't know what that means.
I think he might be a little. He's either having fun or he's drunk.
Yeah, or very
We're
high
lit up
at the
in
moment.
here.
Yep, very high at the moment. All right, Murray Reich writes, Crisis Part 3 was really good. I hate, though, to have a cliffhanger till January. Seems so silly, but whatever. Hey, at least we got Tom Ellis Lucifer cameo, which I got a kick out of. I heard you ended up seeing Crisis Part 2. Did you like it? Have you seen Part 3 yet? I'll say this. I did not dislike Part 2 as much as I didn't care about Part 1. I thought Part 2 was a little bit better than Part 1. Still not impressed. I thought Part 3 was pretty much on par with Part 2, notwithstanding the highlight of having Tom Ellis there. So, yeah, I mean, I'm the big CW verse, Arrowverse guy, but I'm so far, I'm not completely impressed with it, to be honest with you. But it was very cool seeing that cameo. It was very cool seeing that cameo. All right. Jonathan writes, hey, John, just want to say it's always great seeing Rob. He brings a joyous nature to the show. His answers are always short and to the point. Tempted to see Rob's observations. Is it structured like the Campea Show? Not really. Rob's show is really more about, he picks a particular topic or a particular theme for each individual episode, which I think makes him very unique. And obviously always listening to Rob's, I've worked with Rob for many years, and I just thoroughly love being able to hear him go into stuff and painting the picture of what his thought structures are. It's always awesome and great, and that's one of the reasons why I'm very lucky to have Robert Meyer Burnett work
I'm
with me on my show.
videotaping this, and I'm going to send it to Robert. So, Jonathan, don't think that just because Rob is not here that he is not going to be seeing your beautiful comments. I'm a big fan of sharing. That's true. He's probably watching the show, or maybe sleeping.
Or, no, he's still well, hopefully he's sleeping after
he's
pulling
sleeping
the all-nighter.
now after working all night.
Yeah. All right. Next up, Jonathan also writes, saw Marriage Story. Man, those performances were raw, emotional, and Oscar-worthy. Who knew Kylo Ren and Black Widow worked so well together? Seriously, Scarlett needs that nomination. Have you seen it? If so, your thoughts. If not, what are you waiting for? No, I've talked about it before, Jonathan, and here's my thoughts on Marriage Story. I feel much like Marriage Story the way I felt about Lighthouse. I thought the movie was good. I enjoyed the movie. It's a solid, good movie. What makes it exceptional is the impossible to take your eyes off the screen performances of the cast. And it's not just Adam Driver and Scarlett Johansson. Laura Dern is incredible in it. Alan Alda is incredible in it. Why am I freezing on? Ray Liotta. Ray Liotta is incredible in it. The kid is wonderful. I mean, it is just these powerhouse. The girl from Airplane who played Scarlett Johansson's mom. I keep forgetting her name. But anyway, and she was also in Noises Off. Anyway, the performances are what made this movie. It's a very good story. It's a very good script. It's a very good movie. What makes it truly exceptional, these performances. And I was a little bit surprised to see Scarlett Johansson get that nomination.
But clearly, with the number of nominations, 3 of them for the SAG Awards, I mean, obviously these performances are something that people are taking away from the film.
Yeah, the only acting award it didn't get nominated for was the Best Supporting Actor thing. It got Best Supporting Actress, it got Best Lead Actress, it got Best Lead Actor.
Ensemble?
It did get Ensemble.
It did. Okay.
I'm pretty sure it got Ensemble. Actually, let me just double check right now. I'll tell you right now if it got Ensemble. I believe it did. Best Performance.
Female actor.
By a cast in a motion picture. No, it did not get Ensemble. Oh my God, that's surprising. See, you should have kicked out Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Yeah. There was only really 2 actors and 2 performances, and put in Marriage Story, which got 3 individual acting but whatever. It is what it is. But yeah, Marriage Story is definitely going to be one of the stories heading into the Oscar season for sure. All right, Ryan Lohner writes, and so I say again for real, Lucifer may now be the first TV character to make canon appearances on 3 different networks. And now it's true.
Wow, yeah.
Because he was Lucifer on Fox, he's Lucifer on Netflix. And he's Lucifer on the CW.
Mm-hmm.
Go figure. But by the way, I really would love to find out how they made that happen. How they got this Netflix show character to appear on the CW.
I'll ask Leslie Ann.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
She's back from Brazil. I'm supposed to see her this weekend.
Really?
Yeah.
I please do. I mean, because I'd be fascinated to know how that worked. Now, because if it was a Warner Brothers owned property, and then they just transfer it over to CW, which is a Warner Brothers owned property. That's fine. But this is a completely different thing. And so I'm dying to know how they work that out.
I'm dying to know how the pay works out for that, because clearly his pay on Lucifer as the star of the show is one rate. But if he's going up and doing what is technically a guest star on Crisis, you know, is he paid as a guest star? Is he paid his rate as the series regular on Lucifer? If so, I mean, there's no...
I mean, it's literally a 2-minute scene.
Right.
So it would be interesting to see what he got paid to do that.
Yeah.
Or if he just did it for giggles, who knows? But he needed permission from the network
Exactly.
to go and play that character. I mean, it's going to be interesting. I cannot wait to hear the story of that.
Okay.
All right, Jonathan writes, do you think with Penguin and Falcone in the movie, Batman will be about two warring gangs with Batman in the middle trying to stop both? Looks that way to me, to be honest. If you disagree, what could be the implications of having both mob bosses in the movie? Well, listen, there are a lot of iterations of Batman where there's several mob bosses all at once and it's about something entirely different. Let's not pretend that that's not something that's happened both in television movies and in the comic books. It has. As far as what their story is, listen, Matt Reeves has already said he's got several influences for this particular story. Is mob violence going to be part of it? Obviously, if you're going to have Falcone in there. So sure, John Toretto's playing Falcone. Sure. That's a part of it, but I don't know that that's going to be a central theme to the movie, and it could be a million other things. I mean, look, everything is on the table right now. That's certainly one possibility, but I don't want to sit here and speculate about what the other ones might be because it's literally an infinite number of possibilities at this point. And, you know, maybe they're going to throw in a Bane as well. I mean, I just don't know at this point, but we'll have to wait and see. It's getting closer every day. Ethan writes, Palpatine has followed the idea of there can only be two, a master and an apprentice. Considering Palpatine will be returning, do you think he will continue with this idea? Apprentice we could have seen in maybe Snoke. No, I don't think so. Or someone unknown. By the way, John, you rock. Thank you for that, Ethan. And you know what? You raise an interesting point, Ethan, that I hadn't even thought of before. In Star Wars, the rule of the Sith, the bad guys, is there are always two. One to have the power and one to crave it. A master and an apprentice. Mm-hmm. And usually in Star Wars, what ends up happening is the Sith apprentice kills the Sith master and they become the master and they take on an apprentice.
It's so all about Eve.
But there are always two. As Master Yoda said, always two there are. I hadn't even stopped to think about the idea that has Palpatine, in his decades-long absence, taken on another apprentice? And could we be getting an apprentice in this one? Maybe that Dark Ray we saw in that one clip, maybe that's his apprentice. You know what, Ethan? I'm sitting here disgusted at myself that I even thought about this proposition or this idea.
I'm disgusted with you too, John.
Well, I know you have been dying to know the answer to these questions. I mean, you stay up at night wondering
Last night
about
I
what's
was like,
Palpatine
what
doing.
is Boba Fett and Palpatine? And
what is Boba Fett?
Boba Fett in Palestine, or what are they? What are they doing? What's going on?
These are the questions that keep you up at night. Sam O'Neill, or One Ill writes, or Neil, or I'm not sure how to pronounce it. Writes. Currently listening to Dark Side, Light Side. I'm 23. That's, of course, our Star Wars show that we do. I'm 23, so the prequels were my childhood Star Wars. I agree, episodes 1, 2 aren't great. However, I love episode 3 so much. Also, a guilty pleasure, character-wise. I love Jar Jar because he's so goofy and stupid. Well, I ain't going to go into that, Sam. I am not getting into anything in regard to Jar Jar. But you know what? That is the beauty of the subjectivity of film. There can be movies that I, or maybe everybody, hates that some people are going to love, and vice versa. That's the beauty of art. And the beauty of the subjectivity of art, that you can have 10 people standing around the same piece of art and they can all experience 10 different things. And that is the great part about it. And I've always said, as much as I disliked all the prequels, I have always said I have found Revenge of the Sith, which is episode 3, to be the least offensive. I think there are redeeming qualities about episode 3. And that's, if I had to pick my favorite of the prequels, I'm with you on that, Sam. That's my favorite of the prequels. Okay, Nosferatu writes, in The Last Jedi, there is a snippet of the Emperor's theme heard when Snoke is torching Rey. I actually noticed it yesterday. I don't think I've noticed it. I'm going to go back and watch Last Jedi again before next week when I go to watch The Rise of Skywalker. I'll pay attention to that. I don't think I noticed it before. I mean, I've noticed throughout the new movies, the little hints of the original musical scores as well. But thank you for putting that on my radar, Nosferatu. I'm going to keep an eye open for that and see if I can pick that one up as well. All right, Benny95 writes, "Hey, John, I'm with you and most people. Episode 5 of Mandalorian was pointless. What bothered me the most was the female mechanic character. She reminded me of someone who works on a Disney ride. Super cliche. Took me out of the episode. Hope 6 is an improvement." You actually watched Mandalorian episode 5, and I got to admit, I agree, man. I thought that while it is an actress that Rob really likes, I thought the character was terrible. And it reminded me, again, it's a Dave Filoni written character, much like that first Blue character in episode 1 with the, "Oh, you're taking me in. No, I can pay you more." Like, I'm like, oh God, please don't let this character be in this show for very long. It is a total waste of an episode. But I knew you watched Mandalorian episode 5. Did you like episode 5?
You know what? It didn't bother me as much as it bothered you. I really liked I really liked Jake Cannavale's storyline, and speaking of what you were just talking about, this was a clear-cut case where there could have been the setup for a master and an apprentice. Of someone who, you know, craving what he has. And I liked that storyline. You know, I was expecting to really hate it, but I thought it was a wonderful way to show that someone who does not have the Mandalorian's experience or abilities can so easily the second that the Mandalorian went off to go, you know, find the big slug thing, the dewback, yes. The second that Mando went off to find that, I looked at Tom and I go, yeah, this guy's going to get it. He ain't going to be able to kill her.
Can I ask you a question, though?
Yeah.
This is a part that ever since I watched this episode, I thought was so stupid. Huh. Okay, so there's a dewback out there. All right. So you're going to walk. Oh. Why are these two just waiting here? Like, if you got to walk... I mean, I would understand.
Well, also,
if there was one speeder bike there that he could take to go get the dewback and then come back with it again. If he's got to walk, why don't they all walk?
But
I just never understood that.
Clearly, someone has never ridden on the handlebars of a bike as a kid before, because there's no, like, you could easily fit somebody. Just pop her on the handlebars. Somebody sit on somebody's lap. It could work. I will say this, and I feel terrible saying this because I do know that Amy Sedaris is insanely talented at a certain thing. Just like many actors are very good at a certain thing. I think the casting of her in this role was terrible. I agree. It took me out of it. And I don't necessarily think that the way that the character was written was that bad. I really think that it was the way that she interpreted the character. I agree that I thought that it was a complete caricature. She had a very affected manner of speech. And I just didn't.
I'll tell you what it is. The episode was directed by Dave Filoni, who is an animation director. And he directed that character like it was a cartoon
goofy.
character.
And I agree. It really took me out. And when she started, you know, she was playing this tough mechanic, and then all of a sudden she starts babying, you know, baby Yoda, and all of a sudden turns into this blubbering, I hate to say it, but I felt like it was very sexist the way that was portrayed. Is in one sense, we immediately see her as this really tough, badass mechanic, and then all of a sudden she melts the second she sees a baby. And I just felt like,
I do.
Huh?
I melt when I see a baby.
Yeah, but you're also not a rough and tumble mechanic.
I absolutely am.
You're very manly, John. Don't.
No, I can't fix
the
shit.
machismo is flowing. I'm just saying, like, I just felt like it didn't match. You know, I just didn't feel like, I felt like it was just not the same character. She was not directed in a way that lent itself to the scene being taken seriously.
All right, with that, we've already crossed 10:30, so it's time for Erin to split and go do the stuff that she's got to do with the rest of her day. But Erin, in the meantime, we will see you again tomorrow. Where can people follow you in your adventures online?
You can check me out at Erin L. Cummings whenever you would like to see me. I won't be here on Friday, but yes, tune in tomorrow. I will definitely be here then with Miss Chris Carr.
Thank you so much. And guys, with that down, let's keep on rolling here. We still got about another 20 minutes to get through your questions. So we're going to pick things up here with Jonathan, who writes, let's bring up Jonathan's question. Jonathan writes, aside from DC's Birds of Prey and Marvel's Black Widow, I find DC's future movie lineup more interesting. Excited for Wonder Woman 84 and dying to see Reeves' Batman. Not sure with Eternals and Venom 2, Electric Boogaloo, your thoughts. I don't know. Like, I have I am dubious about Birds of Prey, right? I'm very excited for Wonder Woman, very excited for Black Adam and Shazam 2. I'm dubious about Birds of Prey. I really have been. However, I'm also very excited. I'm very intrigued by Morbius to see what they do with that. That's intriguing to me. I'm very excited about Venom 2 because I unapologetically loved the first Venom. I had a lot of fun with that movie and it was hugely successful. Eternals, I don't know. I mean, it's a big question mark, but I go back to the way we all felt before Guardians of the Galaxy came out. I think we had a lot of questions about Guardians of the Galaxy. Now, granted, that was James Gunn. This is not, but still, it's a dynamite cast they've got put together. So we'll have to see. But I think overall, I am very intrigued by the upcoming Comic-Con or the upcoming comic book material period, regardless of which idiotic corporate label it's under. I don't give two shits about which corporate label it's under. I'm just really excited about a lot of the properties that we've got coming. And a lot of them look like a lot of fun. And you know, even Black Widow, which I have not been interested in, this latest trailer made me interested. So there could be a lot of really cool stuff on the way. All right, Jonathan also writes, one of two. I've honestly been spoiled with AMC 16. That's the theater I go to a lot. With the AMC 16, with its Dolby IMAX features, I feel like a snob when I go into a dirty Cinemark or other low-cost theater. But I have been trying these new theaters. Example, iPic Theater. Love iPic Theater, by the way. Amazing place. Like some bourgeois theater. And then 2 of 2, he writes, then went to Alamo downtown LA. Also love the ArcLight, by the way. Great theater made for film buffs like you and me. I want to visit new theaters like Alamo, ArcLight, and iPic. Any suggestions around the LA area? Well, those are the ones that I go to. Like I said, the AMC Burbank 16 is a magnificent theater, particularly when you go into one of its prime theaters. iPic, I love the iPic experience. I very much enjoyed Alamo Drafthouse as well. It's not my favorite theater, like actually sitting in the theater, but it's very good and it's very comfortable. But like the whole facility is just a very cool place to go and watch a movie. So I enjoyed that as well. The ArcLight is probably the most popular movie theater in Hollywood. So you just pretty much named all the good places, man. But you're right. I am with you because the first time I went to the AMC Prime Theater, the Dolby Prime Theater at AMC Burbank 16, I was like, that's it. It's ruined me now. Because now there are still some theaters in the AMC Burbank 16 that do not have the leather recliners and the Dolby Atmos sound. So they're still very, very good theaters. Don't get me wrong. But it's like, meh. Now all of a sudden I'm a snob. Now I'm a snob. Because I've been ruined because of these experiences. But yeah, there's some really good movie theater going experiences in LA to take advantage of, Jonathan. All right, Jonathan Teft writes, STX has been having a rough year with underperformers, Playmobil, 21 Bridges, Palms, and Ugly Dogs, and only a couple of hits, Hustlers. Well, that was a big surprise hit, by the way. And The Upside. Again, that's a nice, pleasant one. So if STX keeps releasing more bombs than hits, how long before they close? Well, it really all depends on... Like, here's a great example. Think of it in terms of poker, all right? Think of it in terms of poker. Campea always bring it back to poker, I know. But think of it in terms of poker, right? You can lose 8 hands, right? But if you lose $5 one hand, $10 another hand, $20 another hand, $8 another hand, okay, you lose 8 hands in a row. But in one hand, you can win $700, right? So it all depends on how big were the losses compared to how big were the wins. It's not just a scorecard of 1 loss, 1 win, 1 loss, 1 win. It's about which were bigger. Were the losses huge? Maybe it flopped, but did you really lose all that much on that flop versus how much did you make on the ones that were hits? So I'm not really familiar, Jonathan, with what all the accounting is on all those particular films, but it's very possible that you could have more flops than hits and yet still have a good year. It's also possible the other way around. You could have way more hits than you have flops, but if the flop really flops, you could end up in the negative, right? So it all depends on what the individual accounting on those films are, which I'm not privy to, but that's what it all comes down to. All right, next up, Jonathan Teft also writes, it's not just this year too. In the 5 years of STX's studio life, most of their movies have either underperformed or bombed. And again, it all depends on what their financial stake in those movies are. And what are their deals? Maybe they have a first dollar gross deal where it's like, hey, we invest, $50 And we have a deal in place that the very first $50 that come in from this movie, we get. And then there's so many variables here that it's really hard to say than just a very simple, well, it had 4 flops and 3 wins. So that means it has more losses than wins. So it's way more complicated than that. And I would have to be able to see and understand what the numbers are there to really give a thought or an opinion. It's a terrific question, but it's one that's a little bit more detailed in the answering. All right. Sophie No writes, first of all, Batman didn't appear in Crisis Episode 2. It was a crippled old Bruce Wayne. I agree. Secondly, this Bruce Wayne wasn't the Bruce Wayne from Batman's world, true, or for Batwoman's world. Thirdly, this Bruce Wayne was a total asshole. All true. All completely true. Yeah, and I was relieved to see that, right? Like the moment that Bruce, first of all, they said that Earth 99 is an Earth that's like 15 or 20 years further ahead than ours. Okay, so it's going to be an older Bruce, which it had to be if it was going to be Conroy. And then the moment we hear his voice and he's walking down the stairs, he can't, like his body's so broken, he needs, and even in the machine, he's like walking really slow and awkwardly. At that point, I'm fine. Like, I would have been fine if Superman was 100 years old and somebody had put a kryptonite necklace around him and he was having a hard time breathing, and then Supergirl beat him up. Then I'm fine. That's not really jobbing Superman then. So I'm with you. It was fine. They get a pass from me on the Batman thing. I totally agree. All right, Jonathan writes, if they do throw in Bane, I fear this Batman movie may be too overcrowded, especially for a first movie. I mean, don't they have Two-Face as well? Also, Catwoman, maybe Riddler, seems too much to juggle, or am I overreacting? I think you're overreacting, and here's why. It's not about how many characters do they have. It's about how do they use the characters, right? I mean, go and look at, I don't know, Infinity War, right? Because you had Thanos, you had his 4 children, so there's 5 villains right there. I mean, you go to an X-Men movie, even like the first X-Men movie. Okay, you had Magneto, you had Mystique, you had Toad, you had Sabretooth. You go into other, I mean, every movie has tons of characters. Every movie has tons of characters, right? Look at 40-Year-Old Virgin. You got like 20 characters. The difference is with a comic book movie, you just happen to recognize the name of the characters, right? Like, oh, yes, they have 20 characters in 40-Year-Old Virgin, but I don't know the name. I've never heard of this character who's one of the other, electronic stores employees. But you know the name Two-Face, and you know the name Riddler, and you know the name this. So it just feels that way. It's not about how many characters are there. It's about how are the characters used. Hell, look at the first Avengers movie. Maybe not villains-wise, because, I mean, really the main villain was Loki, but you had Captain America, and you had Iron Man, and you had Hulk, and you had Thor, and you had Hawkeye, and you had Black Widow, and you had, I was going to say Nick Cage, not Nick Cage. You have Nick Fury, and you have Agent Coulson, and you have Colby Smulders, and you have this, and this, and that. Was that too many? Or did Joss Whedon masterfully manage the balance to balance that film out with all the characters? But they had way more. Avengers had way more characters than the Batman movie's going to have. So it's not about how many characters are there. It's about what is their role in the film and how are those characters used and balanced. That's the key. So I never worry about hearing that there's tons of characters. I just worry about how are they going to be used and how is it executed. So that's my thought on that, Jonathan. All right. Johnny 5 writes, rewatched Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, and when Yondu's funeral came on, I realized he had his fin on. So how does Gunn's brother have it on in the end credit scene? I don't know. Also, has no one realized Cap is a thief to himself? Has no one realized Cap is a thief to himself? His shield was done, but he gives Falcon a perfect one. Thanks. Yeah, that's probably, I mean, look, we could go into that. We're going to get, if you try to start talking logic about Endgame, and look, I love Endgame. Everybody knows it. It has major logic problems. Endgame has several big logic problems. But that's fine because that was the price tag for having the big fan experiences that Endgame delivered. So there's that. As far as I don't know. Who cares? I mean, honestly, Johnny, these are questions I go, yeah, but who cares? Yes, it's an issue, but this is a comic book movie you're talking about, and Marvel is kind of okay with having some logic issues and stuff. And we just accept it and smile and move on because we get the big fan moment. I mean, it's like an unto. Wait a minute. How did anybody on the battlefield hear Captain Marvel say, Avengers, assemble? Well, whatever. He said, Avengers, assemble, everybody. Yay! And right, so it's a lot. Hey, when in Avengers Endgame did they hand out everybody having their own communication earpieces? I didn't see. Did somebody walk around with a big basket? You get a communications earpiece, and you get a communications earpiece, and you get a communications earpiece. It's like, does somebody have eyes on this? And then Wasp is like, we got it, Cap. Wait a minute. When did Wasp get a communications earpiece to talk to Captain America? Doesn't matter. They're talking. Yay! They're all together. I mean, that's what we cared about, right? So a lot of time these movies will sacrifice logic in order to deliver a big fan moment. And sometimes to deliver the big fan moment, you got to sacrifice a little bit of logic. In certain movies, you can't do that. In others, you can and get away with it. And Endgame is one of those movies where you can and you can get away with it. And it's perfectly, we just grin and accept it, Johnny. We just grin and accept it. All right. Anonymous writes, I'm hyper stoked for The Witcher. 20th of December is the day. You know what really sucks? I was invited to go and watch The Witcher last Tuesday. I was invited to go and watch The Witcher last Tuesday. And I couldn't go. Because I forgot that we had Dark Side, Light Side. I was all planning on going. I was going to be there. I was all excited to go and watch it. And then I realized, oh, wait a minute. It's at 4:00 in the afternoon. Yeah, I'm still going to be doing Dark Side, Light Side at that point. And so I took a pass on going to see The Witcher. But I'm with you, Anonymous. I'm very, very stoked for that show. I cannot wait, mostly because it's Henry Cavill, who I adore, but also because it's The Witcher, so I can't wait to see it. I think the trailers have been great. All right, Adam Frasher writes, howdy, John and crew. Have you guys seen The Man Who Killed Hitler and Then Bigfoot with Sam Elliott? If so, what are your thoughts? I finally got around to watching it. We've talked about it on the show. I did get around to watching it finally. Let's put it this way. It is a better movie in concept, because it is everything than it is an actual practical execution. But don't get me wrong. I will always take any excuse to see Sam Elliott in anything. Hell, if the MCU were to do a big Crisis on Infinite Earths CW style crossover, I would love to see Sam Elliott back as Thunderbolt Ross. I would, not that I don't love who's playing him now. I would love to see Sam Elliott back as Thunderbolt Ross too. But better movie in concept than it was in execution. Let's just say that. All right. Basil writes, trivia. Nintendo was founded in 1889. Really? Yes, that old. So one can make a period piece with Sherlock Holmes playing Nintendo games with Dracula, and it would be historically accurate. Well, it depends on the Nintendo games you're talking about. Like Nintendo as we know it today, that probably wouldn't fit. But that's actually kind of interesting. But if that is true, Basil, that is fascinating trivia, because if you would ask me straight up in a trivia night, what year was Nintendo founded? I would go, I don't know, 81 maybe? 1981? Not 18? I never would have got that. That's a really interesting piece of trivia. All right, Anonymous writes in, over under 1%, that post-crisis Arrowverse Superman will be stronger. 2, Batman did not job in that episode, which we've already covered. I think fans saw Kevin Conroy and ignored the full context of the role, and I agree. I'm in total agreement with that. Well, they can't make him any weaker. Listen, I don't think they're going to make him any stronger, but 1% is like way too low, so I'll take the over on that. I mean, even 5%. I will take the way over on that one, Anonymous. I'll take the over on that. All right, Maya Demi writes, hi, the Weekly Hero will be an audio-only show, which is great. Does this also mean that no Robert Meyer Burnett Hot Toy showing? I was looking forward to them every week. That does unfortunately mean that. However, I believe I am going to be incorporating I believe I'm going to be incorporating a weekly segment on the John Campea Show for a hot toy of the week. Or they won't always be hot toys, so we'll call it a collectible, because sometimes Rob has 6 scale figures that aren't necessarily hot toys. So I talked to Rob about it a little bit. We're going to have a weekly spot on the John Campea Show where once a week we're going to highlight a figure, because I love that too much. I just love that part too much. So won't be on the Weekly Hero, but it will be a part of the John Campea Show. So thank you for asking that, Mike, because I totally forgot to let people know that, but that will be coming. So thank you for asking. All right. Eduardo O'Neill writes, did you see that Disney adapt Percy Jackson was trending #1 on Twitter? The author posted on Instagram that he is in LA trying to convince them to actually get a Disney Plus show going. If it actually happens, I'm gonna lose my shit with excitement. You know what? I liked the Percy Jackson. Well, more of the first one. I really quite enjoyed the first Percy Jackson movie. I thought the second one was pretty good too. Not as good as the original. I think there's a lot of potential there for Percy Jackson, particularly now that Harry Potter is more in the rear view mirror. I think that actually opens up the door a little bit more for Percy Jackson. And hell, not even Disney Plus. I'm down for them doing feature films of it. I'm down for them doing feature film. I like Percy Jackson, at least what they did before. So more power to them if they can get it going. I don't know if they will, but more power to them if they can. I think that would be pretty cool. All right. Francois Sarazin writes, 1 of 30. You just won. 30 years isn't that long in the Star Wars universe, according to Obi-Wan. For 1,000 generations, the Jedi Knights were the guardians of peace and justice in the galaxy. If we use human generations, this would represent 20 to 25,000 years. Also, in episode 1, a Jedi Council member mentioned that the Sith have been extinct for a millennia. In episode 2, it is said that war with the Separatists is unthinkable. Since there hasn't been a full-scale conflict since the formation of the Republic. 3. Why would the Jedi make such a deal about the prophecy of someone bringing only 30 years of peace when there was already peace? Also, some intelligent beings live to 900 years in the Star Wars universe. Yoda, Maz Kanata. For them, 30 years is quite short. In episode 4, Obi-Wan says that he shall become more powerful than you, Vader, could possibly imagine. Presumably, this will be explained in episode 9 since it hasn't been yet. But then, shouldn't the Force ghost of the Chosen One be even more powerful? I think you're reading way too much into that, Francois, to be honest with you. But anyway, how can there be a prophecy about Anakin but not about Rey or Luke if the latter are going to tip the balance at the end of the saga against its big villain? How can the Chosen One be a non-entity in the climax of the saga bearing his own name? Again, Francois, I think you are, honestly, dude, I think you are reading way too much into a pre-existing construct that you're creating in your own head. The dominant species in the Star Wars galaxy are human beings. That's the dominant species. Why the Empire is so racist or speciesist, if you will. When it comes to that, the dominancy and the most average lifespan in the galaxy is like 70 to 80 years. So yes, there are species that can live much longer. I'm sure there are species that live much shorter. But yeah, this would have been the first time in forever. Even to your own point, it's the first time in forever. The rise of the Empire was the first time in ages that the galaxy was cast into darkness under an oppressive regime. It's the first time it has happened in ages. So that was something totally brand new to the galaxy in a very, very, very long time. And so there was some sort of prophecy that was given projecting that event was coming, that there was a great darkness coming and the galaxy would be under oppression and all that kind of stuff. But in the midst of that oppression, in the midst of all of that, there will be a chosen one who will bring balance back to the Force. Now, how that was all going to happen, the Jedi didn't know at the time of the prequels. They didn't know how that was all going to work out. They didn't know what it meant to bring balance to the Force Now, what does that mean now? They weren't thinking about the rise of the Empire and all that kind of stuff. But now we, as an audience, we can look at it in hindsight. No, they were talking about the rise of the Empire, the oppression of the galaxy. But hey, don't worry, because in the midst of the first time the galaxy becoming under major oppression in ages, there is going to be a chosen one who will bring balance back to the Force. And he does. And he did it. Well, then why aren't there prophecies about this guy? Well, because there aren't. It's just that simple. And by the way, remember, the tide is right now turning. We are still at a place in the new movies where the First Order has not conquered the universe like the Empire has. The First Order, if you will, is a growing movement that's starting to take over worlds, but it's not the Empire. And it's just at its beginning spark. Remember, in The Force Awakens, the Galactic Empire, the New Republic, was still in place and still ruling most of the galaxy. So this isn't like the Empire. It's a different level. It's a different scale of something. And the reason the galaxy right now, in the present tense of the new trilogy, isn't under the dark oppression of a regime like the Empire is because that Anakin brought balance to the Force and took down the Empire. So, I think the problem here, Francois, the way I'm taking it, and again, it's difficult because you and I aren't sitting face to face, so maybe I'm missing some of your nuance and whatever, so I'm only able to respond to your written text. So forgive me if I'm misinterpreting some of the things you're saying on that, my brother. I would say I think you're reading too much into an already false construct that you're constructing in your head about what this all means. To me, it's very clear. As one fan, to me, it's clear at any rate. Maybe to other people it'll feel differently, but the prophecy was referring to number one, it was referring to two things. One, that the Empire, the Jedi didn't even see coming. But that prophecy was clearly pointing to that there was coming a time that for the first time in ages, that the galaxy is going to be cast into darkness under an oppressive regime. That is just something the Jedi didn't consider. And then it came and it dominated the galaxy. It ruled the galaxy until the chosen one came and brought balance back to the Force. And we are still, to some degree, living in that balance, even in the new movies. Yes, the New Republic has fallen, but the First Order hasn't dug in its heels the way the Empire has and has ruled for a generation. Hasn't done that yet, right? So, but what we did get in the first of the new movies is that the Force is now awakened. Darkness is just starting to rise. As Snoke pointed out, the darkness rises and the light rises to meet it. So we have the rising, there's just beginnings of the rising of the darkness, but balance in the Force. The Force is moving and the light is rising to meet it in Rey. The Force is moving in Rey. But then we've also saw in The Last Jedi that the Force is also moving throughout the galaxy. We saw that little kid on Canto Bight. Oh God, don't even make me think about Canto Bight. Anyway, there's a kid in Canto Bight who clearly the Force is now moving in that kid too. And the Force is starting to do what it used to do before. Maintain the balance. A balance that was brought by Anakin Skywalker. Anyway, that's just my thoughts on all that. Interesting discussion though. And we'll see where they go once we get into the new movie. All right, Suthius writes, okay, what on earth is going on here? Earth 666 in Crisis has a certain demon character that Mr. C loves. When they first revealed other Earths in Flash, there were only 52, right? How did they manage to connect what seems like every DC show on the TV stream? Well, I mean, again, none of it has to make sense. I mean, that's the beautiful thing about the CW Arrowverse. Is none of it should be taken all that seriously, and none of it really has to make any sense. None of it has to make any sense on a real serious level at any rate. So they can do a lot of different things. So I would say, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. But wait, remember, in the beginning monologue of Crisis, we hear Monner saying it's infinite possibilities. So they could say there's Earth 67543894275B. I mean, they could say that. But we are where we are with it right now. But I wouldn't be too worried about it. All right, Harry Mudd writes, wow, this Crisis episode was awesome. Probably the best of the bunch. A huge improvement from the previous two episodes. I'm glad you thought so. I thought it was again, aside from the big highlight of me getting to see Tom Ellis, which is, again, he's my favorite character on television right now, I thought it was still just another episode of it. But I do agree it was better than the first one. Robert Mitchell writes, "Hey everyone, Tom Ellis, Lucifer was in crisis." Yep, we've gone over that many times, but he was, and it was pretty fun to see. All right, as surprising as it was pretty fun to see. All right, Alpha or Drago writes, "If you believe Timothy is to become the next Daniel Day-Lewis, I said he has the potential. I knew people would instantly start misquoting me. I said he's got the potential to be. You should probably say his name properly. It's Chalamet, or Chalamet, not Chalamet. Isn't that how it's? I'm saying Chalamet, not Chalamet. All right. Okay. No, you're right. I have been saying Chalamet. That's how I've been saying it. I've been saying it this whole time, Chalamet, instead of Chalamet. So I've been mixing up the L and the M. You're right. I have been doing that. Anyway, as you've been saying, and while we are on that, my name is pronounced Drago. Big fan since 2010. Well, thank you very much. I mean, again, this is the problem when you read a name 1,000 times, but you never hear the name. So Chalamet. As in the Emperor Chalamet. Okay, that should have been easy. All right, Topher Rocks writes, "Hey guys, bigger waste in the new Star Wars films. Max von Sydow, Gwendolyn Christie, or Benicio del Toro. All great actors, wasted in my opinion. Disagree 1,000%. Max von Sydow was not wasted. His character played a pivotal role. It introduced us to what's going on in the galaxy, and it set up that Kylo Ren doing something very villainous right off the bat. That was not a waste. And remember, characters are not there to serve the actors. The actors are there to serve the characters. So that was not a waste by any stretch of the imagination. Benicio del Toro was. That was not because of how much screen... The character... An actor is not wasted in a movie based on the amount of screen time they get. It's based on what do they have the character do. And that's why, to me, Max von Sydow's role was not a waste in the least. It set the stage. It was small, but that's fine. It can be small, but it set the stage. The Benicio del Toro one, though, that one was a complete waste of a character. The character was a waste in and of itself. It did stupid things, used in a stupid way, and there was no point in having an actor of the caliber of Benicio del Toro there doing it when it was a completely useless character to begin with. One of my biggest criticisms of The Last Jedi revolves around that character. So I will go easily. The Benicio del Toro one was a waste. That's the one for me. The other ones I don't really think were. Harry Mudd writes, Max von Sydow voiced Vigo in Ghostbusters 2. I believe I knew that. Yeah, that's an interesting little piece of trivia. Fabian Vegas writes, hey guys, I moved out last year. Netflix Marriage Story looks great, but my parents are currently going through a divorce. Ooh, that sucks. I really want to see the film, but I'm afraid it'll hurt too much. Your thoughts? You know, that's a really interesting thing, Fabian. Not interesting that your parents are going through a divorce, but it raises a very interesting issue. I think part of the reason, look, divorce is so common in our culture that it has affected many, not everybody, but it's affected a lot of people. And I think one of the reasons that Marriage Story is resonating with so many people is that it reminds them a lot of the pain they felt. When you have a movie that can connect with an audience on that sort of a level, that I feel like you understand watching the screen, I feel like you understand my experience and what I had. And that's one of the things that I believe is really connecting people to this movie. The irony, if that's the right word to use here, is that if it's too close to somebody, like for instance, it's an experience you right now are experiencing. You're having that experience right now. And so as such, maybe it feels a little too close to home right now. So the one thing that is making people connect with it is also the thing that's making other people, maybe like you, a little adverse to it. And it's totally understandable. It's totally understandable, but that's the power of these stories, man. Like, just like as I'm sure any movie that involves, I don't know, plane crash, right? it can tell a story, but if somebody just lost somebody in a plane crash, that might be a little bit too close to home. Now, I'm just using that as a hyperbole example. You see what I'm saying? It could hit a little bit too close to home. That might mean, for me, I can't watch that movie right now. I mean, that's understandable too. So, but I think, Fabian, that's a testimony to how grounded and viscerally they really do portray the experience in that movie. That makes it feel like some people can connect with it and make other people, depending on where they're at right now, feel a little bit adverse to it. And I think that speaks to the power of the storytelling. So thanks for sharing that, man. And I hope at some point you're able to come to a place where you can watch it and identify with it without causing too much hurt or pain, because that's part of the power of stories, man. It is. And so thank you for sharing your experience on that. All right. Hey, guys, listen. I'm going to do something I very, very rarely do. I'm going to take a second break here. I'm going to take a second break because I was not able to actually refill my drink, and I'm now empty because Erin and I started talking a little bit so if you'll give me like 45 seconds to a minute. Give me 45 seconds to a minute and we will pick up the show again, and then we will run all the way through. So hang tight with me, guys. The clock's just going to read 0. Hang tight. I will be right back in like 1 minute. Don't go anywhere. Guys, and I'm back. Sorry about that, but my throat was starting to, my throat was starting to go, so I needed to refill that. So thank you so much for your patience on that. Okay, with that down, let's keep on going. Okay, where were we at here? Okay, Sin Vendetta writes, yesterday I finished Resistance Reborn, the Star Wars book that takes place between episodes 8 and 9. While not the most spectacular read, it was great to get caught up on what's going on before into the rise of Skywalker. 7 out of 10. I'll tell you what, I didn't like it. I got it so I could specifically listen to it on my drive to Vegas and back, because Ann and I went to Vegas for Thanksgiving weekend with her mom and some friends and her sister and my brother-in-law. And I was bored stiff by it. I'll be honest with you. I was bored stiff by that book. And I get it. There's a lot of canon references in it, but references don't make a great story. And I'm glad you enjoyed it. Actually, I got another friend of mine that read it and actually did quite like it a lot. I wanted to like it. I was really interested in the book, and I was, in the words of Master Yoda, a page turner, it is not. That was me, but I'm glad you enjoyed it, dude. And like I said, I got another friend who really, really liked it too, so I'm glad you did. All right, let's see. Harry Mudd writes, hey, Rob, Chris, Erin, and John, happy days. Enjoying some Ricola herbal tea. Well, I mean, that's always good to have if you're feeling another Ricola. I've enjoyed some Ricola myself when I've been under the weather, so I hope you feel good, man. All right, James Hoffman writes, I thought part 3 of the Crisis crossover was the best of the 3 episodes. What an epic cliffhanger. But do you think the Crisis story suffers from CW not having a bigger budget? Would the Crisis story be better if it had a big blockbuster budget? No. I mean, they tell the story that they tell. Having better visual effects won't make the movie any better. I mean, yeah, having better visuals, but I mean, the story is still the story. And the thing about CW, this is something I mentioned a long time ago about Arrow and Flash and things like that, is once your mind adjusts to how this show looks and operates, then the visual effects they use, it just becomes a part of the world for you, right? It doesn't really stand out to you nearly as much that the visual effects in this show don't look nearly as good as the visual effects in, I don't know, Aquaman or Avengers Endgame. It doesn't work like that, because once you're watching it, your head kind of adjusts that this is the way the visual effects work in this world, and then you just focus on the story and what's actually happening. And so I don't know that having a bigger budget would have fixed anything. It's the story. And to me, the problem with Crisis so far is that they had no direction. It was just, let's just throw everything in there. Let's just throw everything in for the hell of it. That's what it really feels like. And again, it comes back to that whole thing about, when they approached Michael Rosenbaum about coming back as Lex Luthor, he was like, they didn't even have any idea what they were going to do with this character. They were just like, hey, do you want to come and be in Crisis? It's like, well, what are you going to have my character do? We don't know yet. Really? So that's how you're planning Crisis? They have a just throw everything plus the kitchen sink at it, and that's wiping them all out. And to me, that's just not a good way to do it. It's just not a good way to do it. So anyway, that's just kind of my thoughts, but we'll see. Look, again, I do think episode 3 was better than episode 1. What they did with Lex at the end was stupid too. I don't know. But look, I'm acting as if it's the worst thing on TV. It's not. I'm just disappointed by it. This thing that's supposed to be this big climactic thing in the Arrowverse just feels like another side story, to be honest with you. But maybe that's just me. Maybe that's just me. All right, Harry Mudd writes, ever seen Hardcore Henry? Yes, I have, with the guy from, why am I forgetting his name, from District 9? South African act. I'm forgetting his name for whatever reason. Quite the interesting movie, shot entirely like a first-person shooter game. Yep. Oh, wait a minute. No. That's not the one I'm thinking of. Damn it. Now I got to look it up. Hold a second. This is going to bother me unless I look it up now. Hold a second. District 9 IMDb. It's got to, first of all, it's going to kill me when I realize what the actor's name is, because I don't know why. Sharlto Copley, of course, he was Howling Mad Murdoch in the A-Team as well. I'm just trying to remember what the movie was that he was in that I'm thinking of. It was Hardcore Henry. Okay, I was thinking, wait a minute, no, it was Hardcore Henry. Okay, yes, interesting. Yes, I think that's the best thing I can say about it. Is that it was interesting. It was interesting, but that's about as far as I can go on that one, Henry. But yes, it was Sharlto Copley. Okay, so I did have the right one. A lot of times I don't. All right, Jay Bling writes, Adam Sandler's chances for an Oscar nomination for Uncut Gems just went away. He's been snubbed by both the Golden Globes and SAG. I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say they've gone away. I mean, he did get the He did get the win by the National Board of Review. So I would not say it's gone away. I don't expect that Taron Egerton is going to get a nomination for Best Actor at the Academy Awards. Now, that spot will automatically go to Robert De Niro. How I'm still kind of shocked Robert De Niro didn't get that SAG nomination. Still shocked. But I wouldn't count out Adam Sandler just yet. I would not count out Adam Sandler just yet. Okay, next. Daniel Hinoja writes, people actually think you support Disney just to receive invitations to premieres and screenings. Haven't you also criticized some of their films? Well, no. See, here's the thing. I am constantly being attacked from two sides. I'm constantly being attacked by Disney lovers who constantly accuse me of being anti-Disney and that I'm paid off by Warner Brothers and all this kind of stuff because I like Batman versus Superman, or because I love Man of Steel so much, or because I gave them so much shit over how they handled the Spider-Man situation. It was their fault. It wasn't Sony's fault. It was their fault. And I still stand by that. Over that I gave Alan Horn a hard time, or the fact that I don't like Dumbo, or the fact that I don't like Nutcracker, and I didn't like the new Mary Poppins, and I didn't like Wrinkle in Time, and I don't like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and stuff like that. So I constantly get this hard time from people going, who just are totally convinced that I'm a Disney hater, and I'm constantly trying to undermine Disney, and I'm paid off by Warner Brothers and blah, 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 blah. At the same time that these people are yelling at me, I get yelled at by other people who are convinced of the total opposite. That I hate Warner Brothers, that I'm paid off by Disney, I'm a Disney shill, I just love everything Disney. And that's why I said I like Captain Marvel, and that's why I like the new Star Wars. And, you know, the people who claim I'm a Disney hater ignore the fact that I love so much of the MCU and that I love so much of Star Wars. Yes, there are things about Star Wars I don't like. Yes, there are things about the MCU I don't like. Then the people who think I'm all paid off by Disney ignore the fact that there's a lot of things that Disney does that I don't like, that I do give them a hard time about a lot of things, that there's Star Wars stuff that I don't like, blah, blah, blah. So listen, when you do what I do, here's the problem. Here's the problem. I'm going to tell you what the problem is right now. There are too many brain fucking dead so-called movie fans who look at movie fandom as if it's politics, right? Because so many people are brain dead when it comes to politics. They're brain dead as in, I belong to this political party, therefore anything this political party stands for, I agree with. And anything the other political party stands for, I disagree with. Fucking idiots. Absolute fucking idiots. Think that way. Anyway, there are too many people today that approach movie fandom that way. That if you like DC movies, then you stand with DC movies. You defend all the DC movies and you reject anything that comes out from the dirty Marvel people. And the opposite. If you're a Marvel guy, you got to be a Make Mine Marvel guy. You got to get a Make Mine Marvel tattoo, and you got to stand up for everything Disney does, and everything Bob Iger says is gold, and everything Alan Horn does is great. And the Spider-Man situation, that was clearly Sony's fault because nothing could be Disney's fault, and blah, blah, blah. Then you got to be one way or the other. If you like Star Wars, you're supposed to like everything from Star Wars. If you like this, and that's the problem with some people, some real freaking idiots in movie fandom today. They treat movie fandom like it's politics. Like you're supposed to, if you're on this side of this thing, that you got to be for everything that's on that side. No. Guess what? There's a lot of stuff Disney does that I really enjoy. A lot. You guys know this. But sometimes they do stupid things. And sometimes they put out crappy TV shows or some bad movies, and we say they're crappy. That doesn't mean I don't love a lot of stuff that Disney does. Of course I do. Obviously I do. But, you know, just at the same time, like, yeah, I did blame Disney for the Spider-Man thing. I was very public about that. Yeah. But that doesn't mean I don't love a lot of the stuff that Disney does. Anyway, everybody just has this tribal mentality. And I'm like, F y'all. I like what I like, and I don't like what I don't like, and I don't give two squirts of piss about which corporate overlord's corporate label is on it. I just don't. And some people have a very, very hard time with that. Because you have to be following a corporate overlord. No, I don't. I'm going to do me, and I'm going to do my thing, and I'm going to constantly give my audience my honest opinion. And my honest opinion is something that my audience is going to agree with sometimes and disagree with the others. But they will always know that what I'm telling them, right or wrong, is what I actually think. Whether it's the popular thing to say or the unpopular thing to say, I don't give two squirts of urine. I'm going to say what I think because my audience always knows that whether they agree or disagree with what I'm saying, at least they know what I'm saying is what I actually believe and what I actually think at the time. And I don't care which corporate label is on something. I don't care which studio something comes out of. It doesn't matter to me. I like movies. I like my entertainment. I like the art. And I'm going to judge it on its own individual merits. It's just that simple. And if you want to cry that I didn't like frickin' Wrinkle in Time, then you go ahead and cry that I didn't like Wrinkle in Time. If you want to cry that I did like The Last Jedi, you go baby yourself in the corner and you go cry that I like The Last Jedi. I don't give a shit what you think. Because all I have, and all you have is my opinion. That's all I've got. It's the only thing I have to offer is my thought and opinion and why I think those things. That's all I've got. And so, you would be shocked, Daniel. You would be shocked how much from both sides of this argument I get all the time. I'm public enemy number one to a lot of Disney fans, and I'm public enemy number one to a lot of people who hate Disney. And everybody thinks I'm on the other side. And the reality is I'm on none of your all sides. Y'all can go screw yourselves. I'm just going to believe what I believe. I'm going to like what I like, and I'm not going to like what I don't like. And I'm going to call out shit when I see shit. But that's just me. Anyway, thanks for that, man. All right. Min Tran writes, in defense of the crisis Batman's job, we've gone over this many times already today. This Batman is an old beaten down Batman and lost his morals and principles a long time ago. The kind of Batman that would pull out a gun because he couldn't keep up anymore. Again, I agree completely. This was clearly a much older Batman, physically broken down, a shell of what he once was. So I totally give them a pass on that. I completely give them a pass on that. Harry Mudd writes, watch the movies that made us this weekend. Great show. Very interesting documentaries. You know, it's funny. Ann and I were just talking about that in the car coming back from the gym this morning. Cause she was like, did you know that there's a movies that made us from the same people who do the toys that made us? I'm like, yep. And everybody's telling me we need to watch it. And I'm going to start watching it because you guys have been talking about it. Rob talks about it. It sounds fascinating. And I really do like the toys that made us. So definitely going to watch this thing. Let's see. Initial D's writes, hey, JC. My initial thought watching the Wonder Woman 84 trailer was that in this world, there's some new tech where you can wish for whatever you want according to the voiceover. I think that's how Steve comes back, as well as where the villain comes from. Thoughts? I'm not sure I follow you at all. Let me read that again. There's some new tech where you can wish for whatever you want according to the voiceover? I think that's how Steve comes back, as well as the villain so you think there's a genie tech that grants wishes? I don't know. I think the problem here, Initial, is that I'm clearly not getting I think I'm clearly missing the gist of what you're trying to say. That there's some new tech where you can wish for whatever you want according to the voiceover. I don't know. Is that so anybody in the world can just wish for anything they want and they get it? I don't know. Maybe. I think the problem here, Initial, is that I'm missing what you're saying. I think this is just me and my stupidity. I think it's just going over my head. I apologize about that. All right. Harry Mudd writes, wouldn't it be great if the unaltered Star Wars trilogy was released on Blu-ray 4K? I don't care because I don't get discs, but I would love to see it streamed in 4K. That would be pretty cool. Or just released in any way, shape, or form. It's probably going to be a while before that happens, though, unfortunately. All right. Evelyn writes, I know you said you tap out of Crisis. Yeah, but I gave in and I went and watched the second one anyway. But I really recommend last night's episode, the cameo, the guest stars, the cliffhanger. It's worth it. And I did get around this morning to watch the third one too, because of the cameo and stuff. So yeah, I had said I had tapped out, but you guys warned me. I kept getting tweets from you guys. John, you got to watch it. John, you got to watch it. So I'm like, all right, I watch it. So I did. I gave in, Evelyn. I gave in. I bowed to the wisdom of the collective audience and I went ahead and watched it. All right. Groovy Don't Play writes, hey, Paul, do you think Parasite has a legit shot of winning Best Picture? I do. It's my favorite film this year, the kind of experience I want more of at the theater. I wouldn't put my money on it winning, but I think it's definitely got a shot. It's got a lot of buzz and a lot of momentum. Parasite is wonderful. It is currently my number 2 favorite movie of the year. Right now, for me, it's number 1, Jojo Rabbit, number 2, Parasite, number 3, Knives Out, number 4, The Farewell, and number 5, Ford v Ferrari. So that's my top 5 right now. And so, yeah, I really do think it's got a shot. I wouldn't say it's the favorite at all, but if the Oscars were held tomorrow and then they said Best Picture goes to Parasite, I won't be surprised. There are a few others I think will take it ahead of it, but I won't fall out of my seat with shock. Now watch this. It's also possible that it doesn't even get a nomination. I'm not saying it won't. I'm just saying that's a possibility too, which I'll be upset about. But hey, it is. I mean, hey, there's a possibility my number 1 film of the year, Jojo Rabbit, doesn't get a nomination. I think it should. I think it will, but there's a chance that it doesn't. I mean, hell, if Robert De Niro cannot get a SAG nomination for Best Actor, then anything can happen, man. Anything can happen. JJ, but I love Parasite too. JJ Abrams writes, first of all, I don't know that there has been a year this difficult for the Oscars in my lifetime. Thanks for the necessary escapism every day as I found different ways to avoid suicide, though we will see. Wish me luck for a better week, and that she dumps Aiden. I don't know what we're talking about, and I don't know if that's a joke of some horror. If it's a joke, it's really in poor taste. If it's true, then if it's real, and I don't know, and I don't know, but all that kind of stuff. But if that's literal stuff, dude, then the best thing I can say is today, go and find somebody to talk to. Today, go and find a professional to go and talk to. Don't put it off. Don't make it something that works for other people, but not for you. Go and find somebody to talk to. And if it's some sort of a stupid joke, then you're a fucking idiot. So that's the best thing I can say to that. All right. Groovy Don't Playwrights. Do you guys have HSX? I have no idea what that is. I shorted stock in New Mutants on bet and it won't get released. My net worth. You're talking about the Hollywood Stock Exchange. Oh my God. Oh no. Is that even still a thing? I didn't even know that was still a thing, to be honest with you. Seriously, I didn't. I had no idea that was actually still a thing. So no, I don't. Let's see. You short on Mutants on a bet that it won't get released. My net worth is 584 million. I don't know if that's good or bad. Love yous. Okay. It's the movie's supposed to come out in April. Disney moved it to that release date. I haven't heard anything that says they're not giving it its release. So as of right now, I am still believing that it is getting released. But if we go another month without seeing any new marketing for it, then I'm going to start to question that. If we go another month without seeing any marketing for it, I'm going to start to question that. All right. Suthius writes, Oprah on Crisis. You get a suit and you get a suit and you get a suit and everybody gets to be a superhero. I like that. That's pretty funny. All right. Harry Mudd writes, Scarlett Johansson is a fine actress indeed. Did you know she also sings? She released an album where she covered Tom Waits in 2008. I had no idea. At this point though, dude, I'm not going to be surprised about anything. I'm sure she can cook. I'm sure she can fly a plane. I'm sure she can do mixed martial arts. I'm sure she can, I don't know. At this point, seriously, Harry, I'm not going to be surprised by finding out anything that this woman can do because she just seems like ridiculously talented in everything she sets her mind to. All right. James Bonner writes, no question today. Just everyone in the studio have a great day. Well, thank you so much, James. It's always nice when somebody wants to write in and just support the channel and say something nice. So thank you for that, man. And I hope you have a great day as well. All right. Harry Mudd writes, hey, Erin, who is not here anymore, unfortunately. A long time no see. You're looking amazing as always, which she does, doesn't she? She always looks great, and she's great to have around. I've known Erin for 10 years. 10 years, Erin and I have been friends. And it's just always a pleasure every single day that you get to be around her. She's fantastic. All right, PJ Barnes writes, what if Black Widow's sister sacrificed herself for Nat? That would affect her doing the same for Clint. Yeah, true, but it won't change the way. See, that's the thing about that, PJ, the wording of all that Kevin said. It won't change the way I see that. Like, I just believe that she's seen people make sacrifices before. So if we were to go into this movie and one person sacrifices themselves for her, that doesn't alter the way I see her sacrifice at the end of Endgame. It just won't change the way that I see that. So, but who knows? Maybe there's something deeper to that, PJ. Maybe there's something that even goes deeper than that. That incorporates that, but then goes to a whole new level that we're not even thinking about right now. Something we got to keep in mind. All right. Tristan Riera writes, hi, I hope Steve Trevor would have been saved by a Green Lantern ring at the end of Wonder Woman, and that's why he's back. I don't think that'll happen. Hey, listen, man, you are not alone in that theory. There are plenty of people who really did think, I saw the theories written out that they think Green Lantern saves them, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. I mean, it wasn't a popular theory per se, but I saw the theory. And it would be an interesting way to introduce a new Green Lantern. Did I say Green Arrow? I meant to say Green Lantern. To bring a Green Lantern back into the DCU, as it were. That's not the Ryan Reynolds one, obviously. It would be interesting, but I think you're right, unfortunately, Tristan. I don't think that's what they're going to do. But hey, seriously, we have seen stranger things happen in comic book movies, so never say never. But I agree with you, Tristan, that it is probably an unlikelihood. Probably an unlikelihood, not an impossibility. All right, David Cabrera writes, Absolutely loved Erin on Dynasty. It was my first time watching it, and she was awesome. You know what's great about Erin? And I can say this now because she's not here. When you watch Erin act in anything, she has this ability to completely morph like a chameleon into the exact kind of character that would live in that world. Like Dynasty is a CW show, right? But she comes on set and immediately she feels like a CW character. She can act just like a CW character. But then she goes on Blacklist and she comes across as a harder, edgier, and perfectly fits in with the Blacklist world. Then she's on Flash as Block. And instantly she can morph herself into not just acting the role, but feeling like an actor on The Flash on CW. You know what I mean by that? She's got this incredible chameleon ability to do that, which is, I think, why so many different shows pick her up to do these spots. So anyway, that's just one of the things I think that's great about her. All right, Collins E. writes, Willem Dafoe not getting nominated for The Lighthouse. That's another one too. And Knives Out cast not getting nominated for Best Ensemble are huge snubs in my opinion. You know, the Willem Dafoe one. Now remember, I think they've been running Willem Dafoe for Best Supporting Actor instead of Leading Actor. And I can't, who were the Best Supporting Actor nominees? Let me go over and take a look here again. In a supporting role. Okay, there it is. Okay, so we go over and take a look at this. Outstanding performance by an actor in a supporting. So this would have been the category that Willem Dafoe would have got. Jamie Foxx for Just Mercy, Tom Hanks in A Beautiful Day, Al Pacino, Joe Pesci, and Brad Pitt. I mean, here's the problem. And this is often the problem with awards. I don't see the obvious boot. Who do you just boot out like that? Now, I haven't seen Just Mercy, but everything that I've heard from people who have seen it is Jamie Foxx is at the best they've seen Jamie Foxx since his Academy Award winning performance in Ray. So I'm hearing that's a good. So is Joe Pesci the boot? Does Al Pacino get the boot? Does Brad Pitt? I don't know. It's a tough one, but I don't disagree, man. It was weird. First of all, Knives Out not getting Best Ensemble. That should have been the runaway favorite to win. How it didn't even get nominated is honestly a little bit beyond me at this point. All right. Jason writes, last week, a reviewer recommended Prospect, which reminded me that I wanted to watch it myself. I too will now recommend this movie. Is that the same as The Prospect, or is that a different movie altogether? Let me just check it out here. Just make sure it's the same one I'm thinking about. I'm thinking of a different one. I'm thinking of a movie called the one with the Mandalorian with Pedro Pascal and J. Duplass. So yeah, I hadn't even heard of that one. But so this is a great example, Jason. See, you guys, when you guys recommend movies, maybe I will get a chance to go and watch it. Maybe I won't. But the fact is, thousands of other people are watching this, and they may pick up on your recommendation. Jason's a great example. So somebody mentioned Prospect, a movie I never even heard of. And while I didn't go around to watching it, other people did. And now Jason is here to recommend it himself. So thank you for doing that, Jason. All right. Next up here, Andrew Pitosh writes, sends in a large super chat. Thank you, Andrew, for supporting the channel on that level, man. We appreciate that, my friend. Love you all. Thank you so much. Have you seen Tarantino's recent comments about making Kill Bill 3? Is this dude ever going to retire? And do you think this whole I'm retiring spiel is used to drum up anticipation for whatever movie he has in theaters? Thanks. Okay, so first of all, yeah, I did hear, what was the phrase, exact words he uses, like, it's on the table? Is that what he said? Like, Kill Bill 3 is on the table, or it's in the cards, or something along those lines. A statement that to me didn't definitively say he is absolutely 100% going to do that, but gets a lot of people excited. Now, okay, on to his retirement thing. I'm going to say what I've always said about Quentin Tarantino's claim that he's going to be retiring soon. And that is this. I believe that he believes that. All right? I believe that he believes he's going to retire. But what's going to happen is this. He's a creative force, and he's going to be sipping a Mai Tai at some poolside in West Hollywood someday, and an idea for a movie, not some TV show, not something like, no, but an idea for a movie is going to enter his head. And he's going to think about it. And he's going to obsess on it. And then before you know it, he's going to say, yeah, I'm doing another movie. That's just the nature of it. Look, remember when he said, that's it, because certain people leaked something about Hateful Eight? He said, I'm not making Hateful Eight anymore. Well, and he meant it. But once he sat on it for a while longer, then it's like, okay, fine, I'm going to make Hateful Eight, right? I kind of believe the same thing, Andrew, is going to happen with him with his retirement. I don't believe he's just pulling a hoax. I don't believe he's just saying this just to drum up interest. I don't think he's doing anything. I don't think he's being a showman here. I literally think he believes it. But I don't believe for a second he's going to stick to it because he's just too much of a creative force. I don't see it. So I believe him. I don't think he's doing it just to drum up interest in his next movie. But I also don't think he's going to stick to it. He's going to announce his next movie and he's going to say, this is my last one. And then 3 or 4 years later, we're going to have the next Quentin Tarantino. The return of Quentin Tarantino. I just think that's the way it's going to play out. I could be dead wrong about that. Hey, I just want Quentin Tarantino to do whatever's going to make Quentin Tarantino happy. But I believe, being the creative force that he is, that just retiring and not making like feature films, I just don't think he's going to be happy that way. I just don't. Now, I could be wrong, but we'll see what happens there. Anyway, great question. Thanks for sending that in, Andrew. All right, Jock Cop. And this will be the last one because we've gone way over time here today, guys. But Jock Cop sends in 7 days to go till Star Wars. Me and a bunch of friends see the midnight showing every year. It's a nice tradition at Christmas, minus Solo in May. What are you guys' plans for seeing it? Well, I'm actually going to the premiere on Monday. And then I'm seeing it again Tuesday morning at a press screening. And then I'm going to go see it again on Thursday, where me and Ann bought like 10 tickets for us and our friends to go watch it opening night on, I believe Thursday night's the opening night, right? I believe, and whatever the opening night is, that first public screening, we're going to those. So I've already got plans to see it 3 times next week. I'm going to see it 3 times. Hopefully I don't hate it because I've already spent so much money on tickets. But hopefully I love it. And I will let you guys know when I come out of the theater Monday night. I will get online and I will give my initial thoughts. Now, there's a review embargo until Wednesday, so I can't drop my full review until Wednesday, but there's a social media embargo lifts as soon as we come out of the premiere. So the social media embargo lifts at 10 p.m. So we'll just be getting out of the movie at that point. I'll tweet out my reaction. I'll put up a quick 15-second reaction on YouTube and probably on Twitter as well. So make sure you guys are following me on Instagram, Twitter, subscribe to the YouTube channel, give my first thoughts when I come out, and hopefully it'll be great. Maybe it won't. Expect and be ready for the worst, hope for the best. And that's kind of the attitude going into this Star Wars movie. But we'll see, man. We will see. Okay, guys, listen. For everybody else still waiting here, Corey O, Robert Perez, Joe Hill, Darth Sidious, Talking Star Wars, and all the way up. Don't worry, guys. I'm going to do a companion video in just a little bit. There's not a whole hell of a lot of questions left, but we've already gone over 2.5 hours here today. So I'm going to make a companion video a little bit later this afternoon. All your questions are getting answered in a companion video today and will be up just a little bit later. Keep your eyes open for that. All right, guys. That'll do it for me for now for this installment of The John Campea Show. Thank you so much for being here. Thanks to Erin Cummings for being here today. Thank you to all of you guys for making this show and this community a part of your day as well. And a special thank you to all of you guys who sent in the questions, not just because you give us great fun things to talk about, but also because you supported the channel while you were doing that. And all of us here, thank you very, very much for that. Again, don't forget, later this afternoon, go on my social media, guys, to find the landing page for the Weekly Hero podcast. Me and Robert Meyer Burnett, we've already got a preview episode up, but we're going to put our full first episode up a little bit later today as well. Keep your eyes and ears open for that. And of course, the John Campea Show returns tomorrow for, as Erin calls it, No Pants Thursday with me, Erin Cummings, and Chris Carr. Make sure you guys join us for that as well. And, hey, for all you guys who got tickets to the John Campea 100 million view event, thanks for getting the tickets, and we'll see you guys on Tuesday as well. That'll do it for me for now, guys. Thank you guys so much for being here, making this a part of your day. My name is John Campea, and until next time, bye-bye.